heads of Infinite Group have taken their respective seats. There are 70 to 80 reporters present. Once the press conference concludes and Infinite Group's potions are launched, a continuous stream of star coins will flow in, and many powerful individuals will come to pledge their allegiance. Exactly 12 noon. Gu Qijue, tall and upright, dressed in a black suit, with white hair and blood-red eyes, exuding an imposing aura without anger, emerged from backstage, accompanied by a black-robed figure and Nangong Wanner. Gu Qijue had dyed some of his blood-red hair white. His identity was best kept secret for now, because on Emperor Star, those with blood-red hair belong only to the Blood Dragon clan. Beyond that, no other race naturally possesses hair of this color. Furthermore, Gu Qijue had altered his appearance somewhat using a secret technique from the Nine Dragons' legacy. He knew that Jai Shang and others had been captured and brought to this world. If their memories had been peeked into by the old geezers of the Continental Alliance, and they knew he was the Black Dragon Emperor, he might be captured for research. Gu Qijue acted with extreme caution, leaving no stone unturned. As he arrived, the reporters, who had been discussing animatedly, immediately fell silent and looked towards the stage. For the past half-month, Star C Group had been running advertisements exclusively for Infinite Group. Therefore, Infinite Group's reputation was now extremely high. Everyone was full of curiosity about the boss of Infinite Group. Gu Qijue and Nangong Wanner took their seats at the president and vice president positions. Respectively, Nangong Wanner smiled at the crowd and said, "Hello everyone, I am Nangong Wanner, vice president of Infinite Group. Today is the press conference for the launch of our Infinite Group's products. We welcome reporters from various major groups to attend. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have." In the front row, the first reporter stood up and said, "I have a question for CEO Xing. I heard that Infinite Group's various potions are 3 to 4 times more effective than other potion products of the same rank. Is there any exaggeration in this claim?" Gu Qijue gently tapped the table with his finger and said indifferently, "Fake 1, compensate 10. If any potion from my Infinite Group has an effect less than 3 times that of similar potions on the market, you can directly contact customer service to request compensation." "That's right, we've also prepared a live demonstration today," Nangong Wanner interjected, shouting, "Someone, bring up the 2 gentlemen from backstage with identical injuries." As her words fell, the backstage staff immediately carried up 2 critically injured, blood-soaked casualties. Nangong Wanner instructed, "Give the number 1 casualty our Infinite Group's 8th-tier healing potion, and give the number 2 casualty an 8th-tier healing potion from the market. Prepare the testing equipment." Yes. 2 staff members each administered a bottle of healing potion to the 2 casualties. Under the illumination of medical instruments, it was clearly visible. The number 1 casualty, who took Infinite Group's healing potion, had a recovery rate nearly 4 times faster than the number 2 casualty. Moreover, not only did he recover faster, but all of number 1 casualty's old hidden injuries and past wounds were also swept away. Looking at the number 2 casualty, only the new injuries recovered, while the hidden and old injuries still remained. Whoa! The powerful efficacy of Infinite Group's potions caused an uproar among many reporters present. Viewers watching in Star C Group's live broadcast room also found it hard to believe. Nangong Wanner smiled. "The effect is clear for all to see. Next, my Infinite Group will bring out all types of potions for comparison tests with market-available potions. Please feel free to ask any other questions you may have." The second reporter in the first row stood up and asked, "I want to know if the prices of Infinite Group's listed products will also increase by 3 or 4 times. Nangong Wanner shook her head and smiled. "Regarding prices, they will all be the same as market-available potions of the same tier. We hope everyone will support our Infinite Group." The reporter was surprised to hear this, saying, "Is that true?" The other reporters also whispered among themselves. Nangong Wanner smiled. "Not only that, but for 3 months starting from the product launch, all of our group's potions will be sold at an 80% discount." This announcement was another bombshell. The press conference ultimately lasted a full 3 hours. Gu Qijue left midway, and Nangong Wanner hosted the rest of the event. After the press conference concluded, Infinite Group's products would be available for purchase at 0 o'clock on August 25th. Many heads of potion groups watched today's Infinite Group press conference. They all felt a crisis, and their first thought was to use force. But when they saw that Infinite Group had a demon saint overseeing it, this idea was immediately extinguished. Even the 6 dominant groups of the demon spirit continent did not want to needlessly offend a demon saint. Even if it was only a 3rd-tier demon saint, They were still very difficult to kill. If they couldn't be killed, the troubles would be endless. Since force was not an option, they could only seek cooperation. It's no exaggeration to say, if Infinite Group hadn't registered the presence of a third-tier demon saint, Infinite Group would currently be receiving all sorts of threatening emails. But now, it was completely calm. Tens of thousands of employees responsible for shipping were on standby in the warehouse. Tonight, for them, was destined to be a sleepless night. The entire Infinite Group building was brightly lit at this moment. Tens of thousands of customer service representatives were preparing to feed buyer information back to the warehouse. Warehouse staff were responsible for shipping. Customer service was responsible for notifications. That night, at 11:58, Gu Qijue, along with Vice President Nangang Wanner and 4 executive presidents, were in the conference room monitoring the group's account data. Once a potion was sold, star coins would be deposited. The 4 executive presidents, 2 men and 2 women, were all poached by Nangang Wanner from other groups. Their names were Guan Jiaxiao, Tan Jiu, Jin Shuya, and Nalan Minarth. If the group could develop long-term, they would be its core veterans. It's almost midnight. Nalan Minner watched the 40-second countdown with great excitement and anticipation. I hope we have a good start. After more than a week of hard work, everyone had considerable expectations. Nangang Wanner, however, was very confident, smiling. Don't worry, with the effectiveness of our group's potions, we won't have trouble selling them. With a ding-dong sound, midnight on the 25th arrived. All types of potions were simultaneously listed on Infinite Group's online shelves. Next, it was a matter of waiting. On the large screen, the single digit which was originally 0 began to jump at an astonishing speed. 69, earned 3 trillion in 8 hours, war escalates. Tonight, countless beings were waiting for the Infinite Group to list its potions. On the battlefield between the Technology Continent and the Demon Spirit Continent, inside the operations room of Squad 2590 at the Technology Continent's 88th War Zone base, are the Infinite Group's potions really that miraculous? Jai Sheng was shopping in the Infinite Group's mall, purchasing 3 bottles of rank 5 healing potion and rank 5 recovery potion. Watching the sales volume constantly climb, he couldn't help but buy some to try. I also bought a few bottles of healing potion and recovery potion, with their 10 times compensation for fakes guarantee. I want to see if the effects truly surpass other potions by 3 or 4 times. Zhu Hongyu, Su Qing, Su Kaiyan, and Mu Yuxin all couldn't resist their curiosity and made purchases. They had been on the battlefield for nearly half a month. Everyone had slain many enemies and earned numerous military merits. Military merits could even be exchanged for star coins. At this moment, Bai Jingyi whispered, the boss of the Infinite Group, don't you all feel that his mannerisms, actions, and appearance greatly resemble CEO Gu? Her light brain screen was playing the Infinite Group's press conference from today. Since they were fighting enemies on the battlefield earlier, none of them watched the live broadcast. Is that true? Hearing this, everyone stepped forward to look. When they saw the man in the main seat at the press conference, everyone's eyes narrowed slightly. This, how can they be so similar, whether in appearance or demeanor? After watching for a while, everyone was shocked. Having been in this world for over 3 years, they had never encountered anyone who resembled their boss so closely. White hair, blood-red eyes, and an appearance that was 60 to 70% similar. Even his demeanor and movement seemed carved from the same mold. Could he be CEO Gu? He really looked so much like him. Zhu Hongyu was very suspicious. Could CEO Gu have been resurrected after being taken to the Emperor Star by that mysterious claw? Although I really want to believe he is the boss. It's too bizarre, perhaps he and the boss are just similar. Jai Sheng really wanted to believe it, but reality told him that this absolutely could not be their boss. In just 3 short years, who could establish such a massive group? Furthermore, according to the Infinite Group's introduction about him, he is over 1,000 years old, a Demon King rank 9, equivalent to their super martial artists King Martial rank 9 star. Even though they don't have to worry about resources in this world, they are currently only at the true martial rank 6 or 7 star. It's too difficult to improve. 88th War Zone. Donghu Frontline, several Yao race squads of the Earth Demon rank have appeared. If there are any true martial rank squads inside the base without combat missions, please immediately rush to the battlefield. Just then, the base system broadcast sounded. Let's go, move out, he can't be our boss, Sai. The war launched by the Demon Spirit Continent this time doesn't seem to be merely a probing action. I heard that in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Starry Sky War Zones, a Demon Saint and our Saint Martial rank powerhouses made a move a few days ago. when saint-grade existences make a move. The scene is terrifying. When can we reach that level? The group quickly donned their armor and swiftly exited the operations room. The top 3 war zones on the battlefield are all Starry Sky battlefields. Whichever side fails to hold the Starry Sky battlefield, the other side can drive straight in. Those guarding the Starry Sky battlefields are all saint-grade beings. They either don't act or when they do, they are forces capable of destroying heaven and earth. Only the Starry Sky battlefield can withstand their destructive power. The planetary will would also not allow them to fight within a planet. Existences at this level can already traverse the star river of the universe without relying on any vehicles, and can destroy a small galaxy with a flick of a finger. Below the saint grade, all are ants. This is precisely why those groups with saint-grade powerhouses realized the Infinite Group also had saint-grade powerhouses and immediately abandoned the idea of using military force to oppress them. To be honest, it wasn't just Jai Shang and the others who doubted Gu Qijue's identity. Huolin Na, who was in the Holy Academy of the Super Saint Continent, along with Cute Treasure, White Fox, and Ape Emperor, who were also on the battlefield between the Technology Continent and the Demon Spirit Continent, all harbored doubts. However, none of them dared to fully believe it could be Gu Qijue. After today, the Infinite Group's reputation will become even more resounding. In less than 8 short hours, nearly all the potions listed in the Infinite Group's mall were bought out. Moreover, every single review was positive. After deducting costs, the net profit was 3 trillion star coins. Gu Qijue only spent 200 billion buying materials. This was simply exorbitant profit. Only then did Gu Qijue realize the mere trillion he had previously obtained was nothing but a drop in the ocean compared to those truly large groups. The Infinite Group's first day on the market was extremely successful. Various potions were in short supply. Having only one potion production base was far from enough. A few days later, Gu Qijue spent 800 billion star coins to purchase the entire area of Chengdong. He then developed the land in Chengdong into the Infinite Group headquarters. Using the Infinite Engine, Gu Qijue manufactured 6 more potion production bases. He didn't manufacture any more war machine bases. Currently, 1 was sufficient. Furthermore, the war robots currently being manufactured are all king grade and are not for external sale. Gu Qijue's ambition was unparalleled. He used the money earned from potions to produce war robots. A genuine group should possess its own powerful army, and war robots are the most reliable. When funds are sufficient, buying back the materials capable of manufacturing saint-grade war robots and producing saint-grade war robots will be the time of the Infinite Group's true rise. However, saint-grade materials are too rare and expensive. Gu Qijue searched the entire network and only found a few types, and their prices were in the tens or hundreds of trillions. It was too difficult to gather them all. Emperor grade is also very difficult. Gu Qijue has only managed to gather enough for 3 units so far, manufacturing 3 Emperor-grade war robots. Time flew by quickly. 3 months later, an explosive piece of news shook both the Demon Spirit Continent and the Technology Continent. On the first Starry Sky battlefield, a Saint Marshal rank great expert from the Technology Continent perished alongside a demon saint from the Demon Spirit Continent. As soon as this news broke, the beings of both continents felt a chill run down their spines. They felt that the war might be escalating. It was no longer possible for it to be a small skirmish, as it had been previously. At the same time, a few days later, the Infinite Group suddenly received a war support email sent by the Heavenly Rock Group. The email content read, "Greetings, esteemed President of the Infinite Group. Our war with the Technology Continent has escalated. As the Infinite Group is now considered a top-tier group on the Demon Spirit Continent, we urge you to lend assistance. You may provide logistical support or send powerful experts. The territory of the Technology Continent that is conquered will be distributed among all contributing groups based on the quantity of military merits earned, a trusted aid to the President of the Heavenly Rock Group." Gu Qijue looked at the email and replied, "Why not escalate the war against the God Spirit Continent first? Their blood crystal stones are of great use to our Yao race." Ding dong, esteemed President of the Infinite Group. The escalation of this war was not initiated by us. They first sent out Saint Marshal rank existences. Fighting to the death, we have no retreat and can only push forward and invade the Technology Continent. Gu Qijue replied, "Is negotiation impossible? My suggestion is still to focus all efforts on attacking the God Spirit Continent first." Blood crystal stones were too important to him. Gu Qijue truly wanted to invade the God Spirit Continent first. Ding dong, the opposing side's attitude is tough, and there's no room for negotiation. Since they want to escalate the war, we will play along, after all. The Star Mother Gold essence abundantly produced on the technology continent also has body-refining effects for our Yao race. Gu Qijue looked at the reply, shook his head, knowing they could only fight the technology continent first, and replied, "Starting today, my infinite group's potions will cease sales to the technology continent and the god spirit continent, and will be sold at a 30% discount to the demon spirit continent. Furthermore, we will also dispatch a group of powerful experts to the battlefield. In a war like this, the infinite group could not remain uninvolved. If they dared to hold back and watch from the sidelines, the 6 great groups might very well destroy them first. Moreover, if they can conquer the territory of the technology continent and divide the land and resources based on military merit, the more effort they put in, the more they receive, ensuring no one suffers a loss. Please vote for monthly tickets, recommendation tickets, thank you, 70, go to the battlefield in the past 3 months. Infinite Group has made a fortune through the potion market. During this period, it also organized a mercenary department with a force of 100,000. Infinite Group's recruitment threshold is extremely high. One must be of the heavenly demon rank and pass the entrance assessment of the super training base. Only those who pass the entrance assessment are qualified to join Infinite Group. After becoming a member of Infinite Group, everyone can receive specialized training from the super base, with breathing methods, evolution methods, and training methods all custom-made. Furthermore, members of Infinite Group can enjoy a 50% discount on all kinds of potions from the group. However, it is strictly forbidden to use the enjoyed discount to purchase and then resell the items externally. Once verified, eradication, under the allure of Infinite Group's potion discounts, in just 3 short months, 100,000 members were recruited. Upon successfully joining the group, each person can freely receive 10 bottles of 9th grade evolution potion and bloodline evolution potion. Coupled with the custom-made breathing methods, evolution methods, and training methods from the super base, and the boost from 10 bottles of evolution potion and bloodline evolution potion, the strength of the first batch of members to join Infinite Group increased by a notch in a short amount of time. Heavenly Demon promoted to Demon King promoted to Demon Emperor. Such rapid evolution stunned everyone. The head of the group's mercenary department is currently a Demon Emperor of the 8th rank, named Lai Kangwu. He was formerly a loose cultivator with a fierce reputation. Because he was being hunted down too brutally and attracted by the rewards Infinite Group offered for recruiting mercenaries, he devotedly joined. Lai Kangwu was originally a Demon Emperor of the 2nd rank. In just 2 months after joining Infinite Group, he consecutively advanced 6 ranks. This news would shock many beings if it were spread. While Infinite Group's mercenary department was initially developing, the War Machine Legion department was even more formidable. With sufficient funds to purchase various materials for combat robot production, the Combat Robot Legion department has currently manufactured 500,000 Heavenly Demon-grade combat robots, 150,000 Demon King-grade combat robots, and only about 30,000 Demon Emperor-grade combat robots. The strongest combat robot, named Star Orbit, is a half-step Demon Saint grade. Manufacturing just one of these consumed a staggering 100 trillion star coins from the group. For a true Saint-grade combat robot, Gu Qijue's estimate is that to purchase all the materials needed to manufacture a Saint-grade combat robot, it would require at least 10 quadrillion star coins as a starting point. Such a Saint-grade combat robot technology, even the technology continent, which is renowned for producing robots, does not possess such heaven-defying technology. Saint-grade and Emperor-grade are a watershed, like heaven and earth. The combat power difference between half-step and true Saint-grade can be said to be a chasm. In these 3 months, Gu Qijue obtained many blood crystal stones through Starseed Group's channels to cultivate and absorb the pure energy within the Dragon Pearl. He is now clearly a Demon Emperor of the 4th rank. Starseed Group is a group from the Super Saint continent and is on good terms with the God Spirit continent. The blood crystal stones Gu Qijue bought from the God Spirit continent through Starseed Group were 3 times cheaper than purchasing them through other channels. Wow, Big Brother Xingju. I've only been in seclusion for 3 or 4 months, and Infinite Group has already developed so much? Just as Gu Qijue finished his conversation with the Heavenly Rock Group president and sent for Nangong Wanner, the young girl Lanzai knocked and entered, her delicate and adorable face full of disbelief. Indeed, you've already had a breakthrough to Heavenly Demon. Gu Qijue lowered his gaze, glanced at her, and nodded in satisfaction. Hee hee, Mom said that the bloodline in my body can rival our old ancestor. If I hadn't been constantly hunted, I would have broken through to heavenly demon long ago. Receiving Gu Qijue's praise. Lan Zai was as proud as a white swan. The old ancestor of the Bian clan back then was a demon saint at the peak, so his bloodline power was naturally extraordinary. Gu Qijue smiled gently and said, "Then the glory of the Bian clan should be rebuilt by you. I can't do it alone. If big brother Xingju helps, it would be much easier." Lan Zai playfully walked behind Gu Qijue, flattering him by kneading his shoulders. "Boss, you called for me?" At this moment, Nangong Wanner knocked and entered. When she saw Lan Zai, she was slightly startled. Before, she didn't know that her boss had such a young girl by his side. However, she didn't ask further. Judging by their relationship, they were definitely not outsiders. Gu Qijue lightly tapped his fingers on the desk and said indifferently, "The war between the technology continent and our continent has escalated. It's almost impossible to remain neutral. Go register our Infinite group on the War Hall's official website. Battle merits can be exchanged for all levels and types of potions from our Infinite group. As for how many battle merits for exchange, you all can discuss it yourselves. When others use battle merits to exchange for Infinite group's items, their battle merits will belong to Infinite group. At that time, if they can capture some territory on the technology continent, the allocation of territory, resources, etc., will be based on the amount of battle merits each group has. Lower-level cultivators exchange battle merits for resources, and major groups allocate territory and resources based on battle merits. Nangong Wanner smiled and said, "Yes, I already knew about this. I was just discussing it with the 4 executive presidents, and I was just waiting for your word, boss." Gu Qijue nodded slightly. "Also, release a new official group announcement. You all can decide the content yourselves." "All right, I'll go execute it now." Nangong Wanner responded and left. Not long after she left, Lai Kongwu, the head of the mercenary department, hurried in. "Boss, what are your orders?" This was a tall and sturdy man with golden hair draped over his shoulders, exuding a very oppressive aura. The war between the demon spirit continent and the technology continent has escalated. For the next few days, first observe if the 6 major hegemon groups make any big moves. If they also dispatch a large number of powerhouses to the battlefield, you are to be on standby at all times, ready to send both the mercenary department and the combat robot legion department to the battlefield. Gu Qijue showed a peculiar smile and said, "If the 6 major hegemon groups truly prepare to invade the technology continent, we must follow suit and get a share of the spoils." Lai Kongwu thoughtfully said, "Boss, it's obvious that this war will escalate. Emperor Star has been developed for so many years, and the resources of the various continents are already insufficient. I feel that the 3rd Continental War is about to begin. Some might say, the universe is vast and resources are countless, so why fight to the death on Emperor Star? To put it simply, looking at the entire universe, the resources on Emperor Star are already the most abundant and precious on any planet in the entire universe. Over the years, the Continental Alliance has been searching the universe for life planets similar to Emperor Star to invade. However, the universe is too vast. Even Emperor-grade powerhouses find it like searching for a needle in a haystack. The planet Gu Qijue was on before was merely a planet created by an Emperor-grade existence on Emperor Star using great divine power. And it was not far from Emperor Star. In the cosmic starfield, there are still many civilizations. These civilizations all want to reside on Emperor Star and purchase its resources. But the resources on Emperor Star are not even enough to supply its internal ethnic groups. So how could they be sold externally? Now, the only thing that can prevent the 3rd Continental War is to find and plunder a life planet similar to Emperor Star. 71. Get serious. 7 days later. Demon Spirit Continent, the front line. Flame Demon City. As the war with the technology continent escalated, countless demonic cultivators from the Demon Spirit Continent rushed to the battlefield under the call of the 6 major groups. After registering their identities and receiving their war tokens at Flame Demon City, they hurried to the major battle zones. There are 100 battle zones on the front line. The top 3 battle zones are for Saint-grade and Emperor-grade experts, located in the stellar layer of Emperor Star. The 4th through 10th battle zones are for King-grade and Sovereign-grade experts. The top 10 battle zones are the most crucial. If any battle zone is breached, the enemy will be able to drive straight in. The boundary between the Demon Spirit Continent and the Technology Continent is a marshland stretching for countless hundreds of millions of miles. Separating the 2 continents like a black line, The twilight sky was lifeless, filled with death chi. The black marshland is fraught with danger. A slight misstep could lead to being swallowed by the swamp. But after countless battles, both large and small, both sides have figured out the safe routes that lead directly to the opposite continent. These are precisely the 100 battle zones belonging to both sides. The path in every battle zone allows safe entry into the opposing continent. In the top 3 battle zones, Saint Grade and Emperor Grade experts guard the stellar layer. The remaining battle zones are simply about killing the enemy on the opposite side. Within the 800 billion miles of marshland, both continents each occupy 200 billion miles, constructing one war fortress after another along the path toward the opposing continent, allowing for mutual teleportation. Demon Spirit Continent, 7th Battle Zone. This war fortress is comparable in size to Earth, suspended 10,000 meters in the air, resembling a steel behemoth surveying the world. Inside the war fortress, there is a world of its own. Supporters who come to aid, provided they can form a squad of 5 or more people, can obtain a combat room. Within the highly technological space of this war fortress, one can see the bases of various major groups. Among them is the Infinite Group's base, which resembles a small city. The 4 large characters' Infinite Group, formed by condensed demonic light above it, were extremely dazzling and dominating. 3 days ago, the Infinite Group arrived to support the 7th Battle Zone. The number of mercenary reinforcements, 90,000 demon kings and 10,000 demon sovereigns. The number of war robot reinforcements, 200,000 demon king grade and 30,000 demon sovereign grade. No one dared to underestimate this force. Inside the highest command hall of the Battle Zone base, the Infinite Group also had a seat. At the long conference table, Lai Kongwu, a 9th-tier demon sovereign, sat in the 7th chair. In the past few days, he had advanced another tier. There were 16 people present in total, representing the 16 super groups of the Demon Spirit Continent. The first 6 seats belonged to the Demon Emperor Peak experts of the 6 hegemon groups. The fact that Lai Kongwu could sit in the 7th position shows how highly the 6 hegemon groups regarded the Infinite Group. Everyone, this is the real-time footage from the absolute front line. It seems the technology continent has concentrated most of its power on the 7th front. Qianqi AI, a Demon Emperor Peak expert representing the Qianqi Group, projected the footage of the frontline battlefield. In the footage, one could see a magnificent and immense battlefield, stretching for countless miles, viewed from a god's eye perspective. This main battlefield was divided into 7 smaller battlefields in total. There were 5 small battlefields for demon kings and king martial artists, and 2 battlefields for demon sovereigns and sovereign martial artists. On the battlefield, long-range weapons capable of obliterating demon kings, king martial artists, demon sovereigns, and sovereign martial artists constantly streaked across the twilight sky. The terrifying nature of these long-range weapons meant that every attack could destroy a large planet. But on Emperor Star, most of their power was suppressed by the planet's will. The number of combatants engaged in battle was unknown. A slight carelessness could result in being shot down by the opponent's long-range weapons. It was very easy to distinguish friend from foe. The super martial artists of the technology continent were uniformly clad in incredibly powerful super martial armor, and there were also many war robots among them. The demonic cultivators of the demon spirit continent were surrounded by monstrous demonic chi, but they were currently being beaten back step by step. With reinforcements arriving for the enemy, the Yao race army could only rely on long-range weapons and sacrificing their own war robots for self-detonation. Fighting while retreating. War robots are easy to manufacture, but cultivating a living demon king or demon sovereign is extremely difficult. The female demon sovereign from the Tianyue group said with a solemn expression, "Everyone, the front line is collapsing. The technology continent is getting serious with us. If we don't unite, I fear it won't be us breaking through their defenses, but them breaking through ours. Our 6 major groups are all prepared to use all our hidden resources and fight the technology continent to the death." The Demon Emperor Peak expert representing the Taudi group also nodded and said, "They refuse negotiation, which means they intend to fight to the bitter end. If we still hold back, are we saving those resources for them to break in and plunder? Everyone, shed some blood and conquer the technology continent. The day after tomorrow, our 6 major groups will organize a press conference to push the war to its peak. The front line is currently strained, so this is not the time for idle talk. The large-scale wormhole teleportation array is ready. Let's go." The Demon Emperor peak expert representing the Flame Gold group stood up with a cold expression and walked straight out of the conference hall. If your 6 major groups are going all out, naturally we won't hold anything back. Exactly. Who's afraid of whom, even if it means launching the Third Continental War? What a pity. If the Infinite Group were given a few more years to develop, a single one of our groups could conquer a continent? Lai Kongwu said this with great arrogance. The difference was that his arrogance was backed by confidence. The Infinite Group's super training base, combined with evolution potions and bloodline evolution potions, is a match made in heaven, capable of rapidly cultivating experts. Hearing Lai Kongwu's arrogant words, although everyone felt distaste, they dared not underestimate the Infinite Group. To be able to develop to this extent in just 3 months, it was unheard of and unseen. After leaving the conference hall, everyone returned to their respective group bases to gather war robots and mercenaries and head to the Wormhole Teleportation Plaza. Half an hour later, in the vast Wormhole Plaza, millions of supporting demon kings had already gathered, while there were only over 100,000 demon sovereigns, all waiting for the teleportation wormhole to open. The demon kings present were all in squads of 5 to 10 people. First, to earn war merits to exchange for useful items. Second, to defend the continent. It is the duty of every Yao. If the demon spirit continent were breached, they would all become homeless dogs, and their descendants would forever be looked down upon by other races. Before long, each of the 6 hegemon groups arrived in a mighty, high-profile manner, bringing under their command 1,000,000 Demon King-grade war robots, 1,000,000 Demon King-grade mercenaries, 500,000 Demon Sovereign-grade war robots, and 100,000 Demon Sovereign-grade mercenaries. This made the 90,000 Demon Kings and 10,000 Demon Sovereign mercenaries brought later by Lai Kongwu, as well as his 200,000 Demon King-grade and 30,000 Demon Sovereign-grade war robots. Seem overshadowed, the other 9 major groups also brought more mercenaries and war robots than the Infinite Group. However, Lai Kongwu didn't feel inferior at all. The fact that the Infinite Group had achieved this scale after only 3 months of development already put them far beyond the reach of others. Counting the loose cultivators present, as the wormhole teleportation array opened, the over 10 million Demon Kings and 4 to 5 million Demon Sovereigns on the plaza vanished. 72. New World. While the Demon Spirit Continent and the Technology Continent were locked in fierce combat, the Yao Emperor Old Ancestor of the Tian Yue Group was negotiating with the God Emperor Old Ancestor of the Divine Court on the God Spirit Continent. It was a vast and boundless starry sky. A being with 99 layers of divine rings rising behind him, whose body was larger than a planet, was confronting a graceful figure across the entire expanse of space. A figure whose back bore a celestial moon, illuminating billions of miles of starry sky with its radiance. Jai Tianyu, why did you ask me out? What is the matter we need to discuss? The being, shrouded in quasi-divine light, with divine rings rising behind him and whose appearance was obscured, spoke. His vast and mighty voice shook this starry expanse. Shen Wuji, how about a temporary ceasefire? A clear and ethereal voice, like a gentle breeze, softly emerged from the radiant glow that enveloped the figure, who resembled a fairy under the moonlight. Heh heh, you started the war and now you propose a ceasefire. What do you take my god race for? The cold, mocking laughter of the divine court Old Ancestor rang out. The current Yao race is not the same as the Yao race when the Blood Dragon group existed back then. Daring to wage war simultaneously against my god race and the technology continent, you are truly courting death. You want to escalate the war too? Jai Tianyu's voice was cold and faint as she said. Although the Blood Dragon clan has been destroyed, do you know that the 100,000 core clan dragons of the Blood Dragon clan have all been refined into puppets by that existence from Myriad Demon Academy? Although their strength has decreased, if we deploy all of them onto your god race battlefield, it will be enough to cause you significant trouble. How powerful the Blood Dragon clan was back then, virtually invincible among those of the same rank. Even having been refined into puppets with reduced power, 100,000 of them gathered together represents a terrifying force. The Blood Dragons that could be refined into puppets by that existence from Myriad Demon Academy are at least of the Yao Emperor level. 100,000 Yao Emperor-level Blood Dragons can equal 1,000,000, or even 10 million beings of the same rank. Who are you trying to scare? My god race is not a soft persimmon. Shen Wujin sneered. Jai Tianyu, your war with the technology continent has escalated to the point of deploying saint-grade combat power. Can't you deduce anything from that? Jai Tianyu said faintly. It's nothing more than you two cooperating. Shen Wuji sneered. Since you know that, why did you still ask me out? I just wanted to give you a chance. If you can form an alliance with the technology continent, why can't we form an alliance with the cultivation continent? Jai Tianyu said indifferently. Your god race and the cultivation continent are ancient enemies. Since my demon spirit continent dared to wage war against both the technology continent and you simultaneously, did you think we hadn't considered the consequences? Let us Yao race initiate the Third Continental War. The resources of the Emperor Star are no longer sufficient for 6 major continents. We must reduce the number by 2 or 3. Shen Wuji chuckled. As if stopping the war now means you won't join hands with the cultivation continent later. We can sacrifice half of the god race's continents and, together with the technology continent, eliminate your Yao race first. In that case, there is nothing left to discuss. You can sacrifice half your continents, and my Yao race can also give you half the continents. Concentrating all our power to invade the technology continent as quickly as possible. Jai Tianyu remained extremely calm from beginning to end. All right, let's see who the deer falls to. Having finished speaking, Shen Wuji's projection immediately vanished. The Third Continental War was about to begin. In this Continental War, who knows how many of the 6 continents will remain? The First Continental War reduced 18 continents to 12. The Second Continental War reduced 12 continents to 6. If the Continental Alliance cannot stop the Third Continental War, at least 3 continents will be eliminated. As the number of powerful individuals increases and technology improves, resource scarcity follows. Resource scarcity can only be resolved through plunder by war. However, just as the Third Continental War was about to break out, just as the Demon Spirit Continent's 6 major overlord groups were about to announce they would take down the technology continent at all costs, just as the invisible smoke of war was about to spread across the Emperor Star, the Continental Alliance made its move. Exactly at 12 o'clock noon today, the Continental Alliance posted a video on its official website. Attached to the video was this line of text. The Continental Alliance has lived up to expectations and finally found a continent in the starry sky that is rich in resources and 100 times the area of our Emperor Star. Below that was the video. What was shown in the video was not a planet, but a continent comparable to a large galaxy. This continent was shrouded by a layer of heaven, making it impossible for even the strongest brain on the Emperor Star to penetrate and capture images from within. As soon as the Continental Alliance released this video, it quickly dominated all major online platforms on the Emperor Star. A few hours after the Continental Alliance released the video, a press conference was held. Appearing before the camera was a Saint-grade peak expert from the Alliance, who said, actually, the Alliance discovered this continent 1,000 years ago. Because we were unable to figure out how to enter this continent, we never announced it publicly. Seeing that the Third Continental War was about to break out on the Emperor Star, the Alliance had no choice but to announce this continent. What we need to do now is not fight among ourselves, but attack and enter this continent. After 1,000 years of research by 3 old ancestors of our Alliance, the passage to this continent has finally been opened. However, the heavenly Tao of this continent suppresses outsiders. Saint-grade beings and Emperor-grade beings who enter will be bombarded with the full force of that continent's heavenly Tao. Any technological product brought in will also be suppressed and rendered unusable. Through our Alliance's investigations, we found that the beings on this continent include the human race, the Yao race, the demon race, and the god race. They have no technology and imperial dynasties, sects, and families are numerous. The resources of this continent are so rich that if we can conquer it, we won't have to worry about resources for the next 3 billion years. Now, we ask the Demon Spirit Continent, the Technology Continent, and the God Spirit Continent to immediately cease all warfare. This continent is the place we should be conquering. The spatial coordinates for entering this continent will be announced by the Alliance in 3 months. At the current stage, King-grade beings are best suited to enter, as they will not be overly suppressed by the continent's heavenly Tao. As soon as the Continental Alliance's press conference concluded, it caused a sensation among the hundreds of trillions of beings on the Emperor Star. On that very day, the Demon Spirit, God Spirit, and Technology continents simultaneously ceased fighting. All eyes turned toward that mysterious continent. What was the point of fighting an internal war? Conquering such an unknown continent, that was where the sense of accomplishment lay. A continent without technology. In the eyes of the Emperor Star beings, who had enjoyed the convenience brought by technology since birth, that place was simply too backward. Wouldn't such a continent be easy to conquer? The excited beings of the Emperor Star were all preparing themselves, awaiting the spatial coordinates to be released by the Continental Alliance 3 months later. 73. The president of Tianyu Group visited following the announcement of the discovery of the new continent. The various races on Emperor Star began to unite. Internal conflicts can exist, but for external battles, unity is essential. Even the god race no longer blocked the sale of blood crystals to the demon spirit continent. Similarly, the demon spirit continent did not block the heavenly crystal ore veins from the god spirit continent. Emperor Star had not seen such harmony in tens of thousands of years. Seeing this situation, the Continental Alliance also breathed a sigh of relief. The universe is truly vast, seemingly without end. According to the calculations of Emperor Star's strongest main brain, Emperor Star has currently explored possibly less than 1% of this universe. Remember, it's possibly less than 1%. Even Emperor Star's strongest main brain dared not claim this data was absolute. Time passed for 2 months in this rare period of peace. Then, on this very day, the Continental Alliance suddenly announced a piece of news: to unite against external threats. The Continental Alliance will establish an Emperor Academy. All corporations on Emperor Star are urged to fully support the Emperor Academy. The admission threshold for the Emperor Academy must be students ranked within the top 1,000 of their respective Continental Academies' inner courts. Qualified students can come to the Emperor Academy to register for admission. At the Emperor Academy, you will receive the best cultivation, the best guidance from mentors, and the best resource services. The new continent we discovered is like a pile of loose sand. Emperor Star must unite. After this news broke, the younger generation on Emperor Star was overjoyed. Under the guidance of their respective elders, they all headed to the newly established Emperor Academy. Today, Gu Qijue received an email from an elder of the Continental Alliance. The content was very simple: support their Emperor Academy, hoping that Infinite Group could offer a 50% discount to students with Emperor Academy status. Gu Qijue negotiated it down to a 40% discount. Unable to confront them for now, Gu Qijue could only compromise. Furthermore, Infinite Group was not the only one facing this situation. Almost all corporations on Emperor Star received such information from the Continental Alliance. Aside from minor negotiations, you could only agree, not refuse. Infinite Group was flourishing. The group's reputation had already begun to spread to other civilized planets in the starry sky. Over these 2 months, Gu Qijue had been absorbing the power from the dragon pearls, using blood crystals as a medium. Now, at Demon Emperor Stage 8, he had already refined 3 dragon pearls, turning them into black dragon pearls. Once he refines all 9, they will all become black dragon pearls. Brother, I want to go to Emperor Academy and have some fun too. Today, lands I found Gu Qijue. All those prodigies and geniuses from the outside were at Emperor Academy, and she couldn't help but want to compete with them. Let Lai Kongwu take you, in the name of my sister. Gu Qijue was signing several important documents and said this without even looking at her. Okay, thank you. Brother, upon hearing this, Lanzai happily skipped out of the office to find Lai Kongwu in the mercenary department. After 2 months of special cultivation training, Lai Kongwu was now at Demon Emperor Peak. Even he found this rate of progress incredible. He had come to regard Infinite Group as his true home. The number of mercenaries in Infinite Group had also grown from the original 100,000 to 300,000. The number of war robots above the heavenly demon level reached as high as 3 million. Currently, Gu Qijue possessed the ability to stir up storms on Emperor Star. However, against the Continental Alliance, it was still not enough. Recently, he had spent most of his time absorbing the energy of the dragon pearls, barely stepping out of his office. His living quarters were also within the office. After signing these documents, Gu Qijue stretched lazily. He turned and looked through the floor-to-ceiling glass window at the bustling, lively city. His thoughts drifting. He had no sense of belonging to this world. Even if it were destroyed, he wouldn't feel anything. If it weren't for the most mysterious light of creation sweeping across that planet in this universe, he wouldn't have the opportunity to stand here and stir up trouble. Everything before his eyes, everything he had experienced, made him feel somewhat dreamlike and unreal. Where did Xiao Yao go? Gu Qijue felt very puzzled. One thing was certain, it was definitely not on Emperor Star. Now it was probably in the universe, frantically absorbing one life planet after another. Since I've come this far, it would be too unreasonable not to become the most peak being in this universe. From the historical records on Emperor Star, I actually found a few pieces of information about Layazi and Siddhartha Gautama. Could they be on that new continent? Gu Qijue planned to personally visit the new continent. Therefore, he didn't plan to cultivate for the next month. Knock, knock, knock. Just then, along with the knocking, Nangong Wanner's voice came from outside the office. Boss, the CEO of Tianyue Group is here in person. Gu Qijue heard this, became a little interested and said, "Please invite her in," as he finished speaking. A woman entered gracefully from outside, wearing a silver long dress with long silver hair flowing over her shoulders. Exquisitely beautiful and noble to the extreme. "CEO Jai, since you came in person, why didn't you give a heads up?" Gu Qijue sat back in his office chair and raised a hand. Gesturing for her to sit, Jai Yinyu smiled faintly. "I don't like putting on airs, there's no need to make it so troublesome." Saying that, she sat down in the chair opposite the desk. Her sparkling eyes scrutinized Gu Qijue from head to toe. Looking at the beautiful woman before him, Gu Qijue smiled faintly. "I don't like drinking tea. And there's no tea to offer in the office. CEO Jai wouldn't mind, would you?" Jai Yinyu said with a beaming smile. "I'm here to discuss cooperation with CEO Xing. Not to drink tea, CEO Xing doesn't need to be so polite." Gu Qijue chuckled. "Cooperation? Your group is so large, you can actually take an interest in my Infinite Group?" CEO Xing. "Don't be so modest. As far as I know, Infinite Group has several super training bases. And the mercenaries who come out of these super training bases have their strength in the same rank increased by several levels. Who would dare to underestimate Infinite Group?" She clearly came with a purpose. Gu Qijue smiled faintly, showing no change in expression. "Tianyue Group is interested in my Infinite Group super training bases? Paper cannot wrap fire." Gu Qijue was not at all surprised that Tianyue Group would come calling. "Yes. I wonder if CEO Xing still has such bases. My group is willing to purchase them at a high price." Jai Yinyu said straightforwardly. The coordinates of the new continent were about to be announced. All major corporations were training troops, preparing for invasion. With the suppression of the continental heavenly Tao, war robots entering would directly turn into piles of scrap metal. That new continent, in the eyes of Emperor Star's major corporations, was like a delicious pastry yet to be eaten. Gu Qijue did not answer her question, but instead said, "Putting yourself in my shoes, would you sell it?" 74. "Cooperate? No way." Jai Yinyu nodded decisively and said, "The old ancestor sent me. If you agree to sell 3 super training bases to our group from now on, our Tianyue Group and your Infinite Group can sign a contract to become brother-sister groups. The Infinite Group's largest industry is pharmaceuticals, while our Tianyue Group's largest industry is selling all sorts of materials for making pharmaceuticals. With this complementarity, no group will be able to shake our position. Indeed, the Tianyue Group occupies the most vast and fertile spirit medicine growing region on the demon spirit continent. 80% of the materials the Infinite Group buys on the market originate from the Tianyue Group. Forget it, since I still have 3 super training bases. I'll give them to your Tianyue Group." Facing a demon emperor, Gu Qijue couldn't afford to offend him for the time being, and the Tianyue Group had also shown maximum sincerity. If he refused this time, the latter might cut off the supply of spirit medicine materials needed for the Infinite Group's specialized pharmaceuticals. "This is the contract, issued by the Emperor Star's strongest main brain. Once signed, we will be brother-sister groups. From then on, anyone who dares to offend your Infinite Group will be an enemy of my Tianyue Group. Conversely, the enemies of my Tianyue Group will also be the enemies of the Infinite Group. We will cooperate externally and create our own glorious era." As she spoke, Jai Yinyu produced an electronic contract scroll. The 2 of them each signed their name. The electronic contract was immediately transmitted to the Emperor Star's strongest main brain. If anyone violates the cooperation terms of the contract in the future, the violating party will be sanctioned by the strongest main brain, transferring 70% of the defaulting party's assets to the other party. "Happy cooperation?" Jai Yinyu revealed a charming and captivating smile and extended her slender jade hand toward Gu Qijue. Gu Qijue raised his hand to shake hers. The touch was warm and smooth. As it was her first time shaking hands with a man, Jai Yinyu felt a little uncomfortable and quickly withdrew her hand, smiling faintly. "Starting today, my group's spirit medicine materials will be sold to the Infinite Group at cultivation price. Your pharmaceuticals only need to be sold to my group at a 50% discount." Gu Qijue nodded slightly, tossing her a space bracelet, and said calmly, "The super training bases you requested are all inside. Regarding more information about the new continent, your Tianyue Group should know quite a bit, right?" Considering the past 2 months, Jai Yinyu put away the bracelet and nodded. "I was just about to tell you about this." The The Continental Alliance established a base in the new continent long ago, and they also know how to weaken the suppression of the continent's heavenly Tao. Saying this, she took out a fist-sized blood-colored bead and said, "This kind of blood-colored bead contains the refined blood of millions of creatures from the new continent. As long as you keep it on your person when entering the new continent, the suppression we experience will become very low." The blood bead in my hand was condensed by slaughtering 3 million new continent creatures. It can counteract 90% of the suppression on Demon Emperor-grade creatures. I'm giving it to you. At that time, how about we enter together and explore the new continent? Gu Qijue is at the 8th rank of Demon Emperor, and Jai Yinyu is at the 9th rank of Demon Emperor. But in front of this man, she faintly felt a suppression originating from his life level. Although very subtle, she felt it clearly and certainly. Therefore, Jai Yinyu dared to conclude, the man before her was definitely not an ordinary person, and his strength was probably ridiculously high. Jai Yinyu could not see a single flaw in him. He seemed so perfect that even a saint-grade expert would be unable to shake him. Gu Qijue looked at the blood bead she presented and said with some displeasure, "My Infinite Group's pharmaceuticals are sold to the Emperor Star Academy at a 40% discount, yet the Continental Alliance is unwilling to give me one. That's truly disheartening." Seeing Gu Qijue so displeased, Jai Yinyu pursed her lips and smiled, "CEO Xing, you actually misunderstood the Continental Alliance. My old ancestor also spent a great price just to get 2 such blood beads from the Continental Alliance. One is for you, and the other is on me. The Continental Alliance doesn't have many of these blood beads, which require the slaughter of 3 million new continent creatures. Later on, the Alliance should send the Infinite Group some blood beads of the Demon King and Heavenly Demon grades." For some reason, seeing this man, who had been calm and composed since they met, finally show some emotion, she couldn't help but feel a little amused. Gu Qijue changed the topic and said calmly, "I heard that your Tianyue group has a close relationship with the Myriad Demon Academy. Could you help me look up a few students?" He thought of White Fox, Cute Treasure, and Ape Emperor. Wondering how they were doing, Jai Yinyu didn't even think about it and said, "Yes, what are their names?" "White Fox, Cute Treasure. And Ape Emperor? I know about Cute Treasure and Ape Emperor. They were both taken as personal disciples by the vice principal of the Myriad Demon Academy. As for White Fox, I haven't heard of them." Jai Yinyu hesitated. "Do they have a grudge against you?" Or, she knew clearly that Cute Treasure and Ape Emperor came from the sinful star and had been reformed by the light of creation. She was very puzzled why CEO Xing was inquiring about them. Gu Qijue said calmly, "They came from the sinful star and were reformed by the light of creation. Naturally, I want to win them over." Hearing him say that, Jai Yinyu shook her head. "I knew it, but you should give up on that idea. Back then, our Tianyue group tried to win them over, but the Myriad Demon Academy prevented it. Having been reformed by the light of creation, they are expected to achieve Demon Emperor status in the future and are the Academy's top priority for cultivation. Then there's nothing I can do. I heard from unofficial sources that there was originally a creature of extremely high life level on the sinful star. I wonder if that's true or false." Gu Qijue started fishing for information. Jai Yinyu, as the current head of the Tianyue group, should know quite a lot. "You know about that? That's top secret information." Jai Yinyu was very surprised to hear this, saying, "It seems the capabilities behind CEO Xing cannot be underestimated. There really was a creature of extremely high life level on the sinful star. Unfortunately, it was killed by a few ants of the heavenly demon grade. If that creature had been able to come to the Emperor Star, the 3 old immortals of the Continental Alliance would have argued until they were red in the face just to take him as a disciple. What kind of creature could make the 3 old ancestors of the Alliance value him so highly? I heard from my old ancestor that it was a creature with the potential to break through the Demon Emperor grade shackles in the future. Unfortunately, it was killed by a small heavenly demon before it could grow." When mentioning that creature, Jai Yinyu's tone was full of regret. Gu Qijue lit a cigarette for himself and said calmly, "I have a different perspective. If he hadn't died and came to the Emperor Star, he might have been imprisoned and studied by the Alliance." Hearing this, Jai Yinyu nodded in agreement. "Indeed, that possibility cannot be ruled out. In this world, you can be a prodigy and achieve Demon Emperor status, but if you can surpass the Demon Emperor, you become an anomaly. Alas, I won't say more. I need to go back and report to the old ancestor. See you in a month." 75. Star devouring behemoth Zio Yao deep in the universe, cold and desolate. Rumble, in a certain galaxy. A life-bearing planet exploded in a brilliant blaze of fire. As the fire light surged, A colossal, ferocious beast, entirely gray, burst forth from the explosion. If any creature from Emperor Star were here, they would surely recognize what kind of monster this was. Star-devouring beast? It is the killer of all life-bearing planets, born for destruction. Life-bearing planets are their prey. Roar! After emerging from the center of the explosion, this terrifying star-devouring beast opened its mouth and let out a roar that shook billions of miles of starry void realm. Master, where are you? Let me sense it. The star-devouring beast's moon-sized eyes glowed with blazing starlight, and the tuft of flame on its head, like an antenna, constantly flickered. Found him. He's actually on a life-bearing planet with a planetary will. I can't enter. It raised its massive claw and scratched its head, hesitating for a moment. Originally, this body was for you, Master. But that old dragon actually saved you. I wonder how you're doing now, Master. Back then, after fusion with the star-absorbing main tree, Xiao Yao always knew that 9 blood dragons were sealed on that planet, and one of them was still alive, and it had been paying attention to Gu Qijue. It wanted to see what that old dragon was planning. When it saw the old dragon save Gu Qijue, Xiao Yao observed for a month. After realizing the old dragon wasn't trying to devour its master, it decided not to interfere. Finally, Xiao Yao, sensing something amiss, left the sinful star early. Wandering in the dark and cold universe for 3 or 4 years, it finally shed the body of the star-absorbing main tree and became a star-devouring beast. Since I can't look for Master for now, I'll devour more life-bearing stars first. Xiao Yao's eyes gleamed, and with a roar, it crossed the void realm and departed. It naturally had a sense for life-bearing planets. Today was the day Emperor Star's Continental Alliance announced the coordinates of the new continent. It was set for 12 noon. It was now 11:50 a.m. At this moment, countless corporations were monitoring the Continental Alliance's official website. Once they had the coordinates, they could use a super wormhole to teleport directly there. Coordinates were extremely important in the universe. Without coordinates, if one were exiled, even an emperor-level creature could be exhausted to death in the universe. CEO Xing, after the coordinates are released, let's go in and take a look first. Then let the corporation's powerhouses enter. That's exactly what I was thinking. In Gu Qijue's office, he was on a video call with Jia Yinyu and monitoring the Alliance's official website. CEO Xing, I feel you should change into the ancient attire popular on the new continent and also let your hair grow out. Otherwise, you'll easily be discovered. Jia Yinyu looked at him in a black suit with his white, neatly parted hair and reminded him. According to information from the Continental Alliance, the creatures on the new continent all wore ancient clothing and had long hair. If Gu Qijue went in with his current attire, the local inhabitants would treat him as an outsider even without the new continent's heavenly Tao exposing his identity. I've prepared a set of ancient clothes for you. Try them on. Jia Yinyu directly opened a small wormhole and teleported a box over. When Gu Qijue opened the box and saw the ancient clothes inside, a flicker of wariness, almost imperceptible, crossed his eyes. He saw a set of exquisitely crafted black dragon mystic robe, impervious to fire and water. How did you prepare such a set of ancient clothes for me? Gu Qijue asked calmly. What the heck, had his identity been exposed? Don't you like it? I think you'll look great in it. Jia Yinyu thought he disliked it when he asked that. It looks pretty good. Do you like black dragons? Gu Qijue probed. Black dragons are so domineering. I heard that the creature on Sinful Star was a human who had undergone fusion with a black dragon. I wonder what kind of person that was. When Jia Yinyu spoke of Gu Qijue's other identity, a look of curiosity appeared on her delicate and charming face. Is that why you prepared this set of ancient clothes for me? Gu Qijue, skilled at reading expressions, knew from Jia Yinyu's demeanor that he had overthought things. Yes, hurry and try them on and let your short hair grow out. Let me see how it looks, Jia Yinyu said, somewhat impatiently. Let's watch the Continental Alliance's press conference first. Gu Qijue was not in a hurry. Okay, there was 1 minute left until exactly 12 noon. At exactly 12 noon, the Continental Alliance's live broadcast finally began. The scene in the live broadcast room showed no one on camera. It only displayed the coordinates of the new continent that had been released. At this moment, an old voice spoke. Above the live broadcast room are the coordinates of the new continent Alliance base. Activating a super wormhole for teleportation will directly place you inside the new continent Alliance base. There are 4 points to note when entering the new continent. 1. If you don't want to be recognized as an outsider, it's best to wear ancient clothes, and men should grow their hair long if possible. 2. King-level and emperor-level individuals. It's best not to enter too quickly without a blood pearl by your side. As for those below king level, feel free to enter. The heavenly Tao's suppression is almost non-existent. 3. Super martial artists from technology continent. Your super martial armor is too conspicuous. Your kind of cultivator has never appeared on the new continent, so it's best not to enter. Of course, if you're not afraid of being exposed and then hunted down by endless natives, then suit yourself. 4. Don't think about blending into the new continent sects or other places. The natives there already know about the invasion of outsiders, and investigations are currently very strict. These are the things you need to pay attention to. We must first go in and understand what kind of continent this is, understand their structure, and suppress their heavenly Tao before we can launch a large-scale invasion. At this point, the voice in the live broadcast room disappeared. CEO Xing. You go change your clothes first. We'll meet at the New Continent Alliance base. Jia Yinyu was already impatient to see what kind of world the new continent was, ending the video call with her. Gu Qijue was not in a hurry. He returned to his room, walked into the bathroom, filled the bathtub, and took a bath. About half an hour later, he emerged from the bathtub. As he stepped out, his neatly parted hair visibly lengthened, extending all the way to his waist. His white hair cascaded like a waterfall, reaching his shoulders and waist. His blood-red eyes were majestic, and 3 of the 9 blood dragon pearls on his chest had already become black dragon pearls. He walked out of the bathroom. Gu Qijue put on the black dragon mystic robe Jia Yinyu had prepared for him. The slightly open black dragon mystic robe revealed a black dragon tattoo on his chest. This set of ancient mystic robe fit him perfectly, as if tailor-made with no incongruity when worn. Gu Qijue's figure was already tall and slender, and accentuated by this black dragon mystic robe. His back appeared exceptionally grand, paired with his shoulder-length white hair and a stern, imposing face. He was as majestic and cold as an ancient emperor. Every gesture exuded the aura of a superior, inspiring awe. Please vote for monthly and recommended tickets. Thank you. 76. Divine Wilderness Continent. The new continent, named Shenhuang Continent, has a sky completely different from that of Emperor Star. The outer domain seems like an independent deep space of the universe. And even reaching the outer domain does not mean leaving this continent and reaching the universe where Emperor Star is located. The outer domain of the Shenhuang continent is truly dead silent, without a single life planet. There are only endless, eternal, and immortal constant stars, radiating ancient, everlasting light. Therefore, looking up at the sky within the continent, one can see countless suns. Yet the temperature is not hot at all, making it very suitable for life. The space of the Shenhuang continent does not seem to be in the universe where Emperor Star is located, but in another universe, Alliance Base. This is a massive city base as huge as a moon. 2 star rings originating from the strongest main brain of Emperor Star envelop the entire base. They possess the blessing of the Emperor Star will, successfully isolating the heavenly Tao senses of the Shenhuang continent, like a parasite egg secretly hidden inside a human body. Undetectable by any equipment, the Alliance base is currently very lively. Major corporations have dispatched many heavenly demons and demon kings here. On the Super Wormhole Plaza, many beings of various races were gathered. They formed small groups, whispering amongst themselves. After receiving the regional map explored by the Alliance base, they all formed teams and left the base. Jia Yinyu was among the crowd. She kept looking around as if waiting for someone. Today, she was still wearing a long silver dress. Her tall, graceful figure and proud, perfect curves, paired with her beautiful silver hair, made her incredibly stunning. Those present here were either demon kings from large corporations or demon kings and demon sovereigns from the Continental Alliance. Yinyu, what are you looking at? Beside Jia Yinyu was a man dressed in ancient white robes, with black hair cascading over his shoulders like a waterfall. He possessed an extraordinary demeanor and a rather handsome appearance. This man had quite a background. His name was Xuanyuan Chuoba. He was the personal disciple of an old undying of the Continental Alliance. He was a cultivator. At the peak of Earth Immortal. Transformation, Chi Condensation, Minor Demon Foundation Establishment, Earth Demon Core Formation, Great Demon Nascent Soul, Heavenly Demon Soul Transformation, Demon King Tao Inquiry, Demon Sovereign Earth Immortal, Demon Saint True Immortal, Demon Emperor Heavenly Immortal, nothing, just waiting for someone. Jia Yinyu seemed to have little affection for Xuanyuan Chuoba, maintaining a lukewarm attitude. Who has such airs that they dare make you wait? Jia Yinyu didn't feel anything about it, but Xuanyuan Chuoba showed displeasure. He had pursued Jia Yinyu for many years. offering warmth and care like a lapdog, yet she remained lukewarm towards him, which made him feel very frustrated. In terms of status, he, Qijue, was the personal disciple of an old ancestor of the Alliance. In terms of talent, his future would be at least peak true immortal. In terms of appearance and temperament, he prided himself on not losing to anyone. Why couldn't he win this woman's favor? Senior brother, we should leave now. Just then, a woman with impeccable looks and figure approached, leading two men. She said, "The sect has summoned us back. We must return to the sect within half a month." The woman cast a look of slight hostility at Gu Qijue before her gaze fell upon Qijue. As disciples of the Continental Alliance, they had been exploring this continent for a long time and had even infiltrated a sect of considerable size. If anyone was most familiar with this continent, it was them. Yinyu. We joined a major sect on this continent a long time ago. How about, I take you with me? Given my status, getting you into that sect would be very simple. Qijue said, inviting Gu Qijue, who didn't even spare him a glance. Gu Qijue shook her head and said, "No need, I have a partner. If you are in a hurry, you should go first." Hearing this, a hint of gloom flashed in Qijue eyes. He asked, "Who are you waiting for, such airs?" If it were a woman, that would be fine. Buzz. In a certain direction on the vast plaza, a super wormhole teleportation gate suddenly appeared. Gu Qijue, tall and majestic, clad in a black dragon mystic robe, with waist-length white hair draped over his shoulders and blood-red eyes that were awe-inspiring, slowly walked out of the super wormhole teleportation gate, radiating dominance from within. Hiss, what a strong sense of oppression. Who is this important figure? The people nearby, watching the figure emerge from the super wormhole teleportation gate and feeling the waves of oppressive pressure washing over them, all cast gazes of awe and shock. Gu Qijue ignored their gazes, looked up at the sky, realized this was only the interior of the base and he couldn't see the outside sky, and withdrew his gaze. Immediately, he spread his demonic sense, searching for Gu Qijue's figure. After finding her, he vanished from the spot in a single step. "Senior brother, we really need to go." Seeing Qijue remain indifferent and continuing to fawn over that bitch, the woman secretly gritted her teeth and whispered. Just then, with a whoosh, Gu Qijue's majestic and dominant figure appeared not far in front of them. "Huh, you are, CEO Xing." When Gu Qijue saw who the newcomer was, she momentarily couldn't believe it. Compared to before, this guy seemed like a completely different person, both in temperament and demeanor. His dominance gave people a feeling of suffocation. Gu Qijue nodded slightly. "I was delayed by something." He certainly wouldn't say that he came only after taking a comfortable bath. Tusk. As expected of the outfit I custom-made for you, it looks even more fitting and dominant on you than I imagined." Gu Qijue's beautiful eyes sparkled as she sized up Gu Qijue. However, her words sounded incredibly harsh to Qijue ears. His goddess, custom-made an outfit for another man? Moreover, in front of this man, there was none of the lukewarm attitude she showed him. This instantly made Qijue face incredibly gloomy. "It is quite good. You arrived before me. So you should have obtained the regional map explored by the Alliance base. Are there any particularly interesting places? For example, resource-rich areas?" Gu Qijue didn't ask who the person behind her was, nor did he even glance at them, treating them completely like air. Gu Qijue nodded, ignoring Qijue, and said, "Spiritual materials are what we need most. Therefore, I chose an area that has more of these resources and prepared to go check it out. We should first figure out the overall strength of that area before discussing how to attack it later." Gu Qijue nodded. "Good. Let's depart then." "Wait, Yinyu, who is he?" Seeing them about to leave and treating him completely as air, Qijue stepped forward, unable to bear it anymore, and spoke with ill intent. "Qijue, who I associate with, what does that have to do with you? Don't think too highly of yourself." Gu Qijue coldly glanced at him, then looked at Gu Qijue and said, "CEO Xing, let's go." Saying this, the two walked side by side toward the exit. 77. No suppression. After Gu Qijue and Gu Qijue left the Alliance base, they soared into the sky and traveled through the clouds. Strangely, Gu Qijue felt no suppression. Even with the blood pearl on him, there should still be a 10% suppression. Why couldn't he feel it? Moreover, his state here seemed even better than on Emperor Star, giving him a natural sense of affinity, as if he was meant to be a creature of this world. What exactly was going on? "CEO Xing, how is it? Do you feel any suppression?" Gu Qijue, unlike Gu Qijue, could clearly feel her strength being suppressed by a little more than 10%. Gu Qijue nodded, not revealing his own situation, but instead teased. "Was that person just now your suitor? He's just a dog. Every time he sees me, it's like a dog seeing." No, not that. Anyway, he's like a fly. Very annoying, Jianyu said with some disgust. I can tell his potential is greater than yours. And his background must be significant. You don't even like him? Gu Qijue smiled. Would you like a dog? Jianyu rolled her eyes and said. I just learned from that dog that they joined a sect and wanted to take me with them. Why didn't you say so earlier? Let's go, we'll turn back and follow them to see what kind of sect it is. Upon hearing this, Gu Qijue immediately turned back with Jianyu without another word. Are you interested in that sect? Jianyu asked, surprised. Gu Qijue said calmly. The alliance allowing them to enter that sect means they will definitely launch an attack later. We'll go understand it first and see if we can get a piece of the pie later. Unfortunately, when they turned back, they could no longer see Xuanyuan, Chuoba, and the others. Moreover, they couldn't even sense their aura. It was highly likely they had used some kind of teleportation item from this world to leave. Helpless, Gu Qijue and Jianyu could only head for the region they had set their sights on. The Shenhuang continent is vast and boundless. The mountains here are far more magnificent than those on Emperor Star. Without the ability to use wormhole teleportation, Gu Qijue and Jianyu could only use their own power to forcibly cross the Void Realm. Half a month later, they finally encountered a city of human cultivators. It was a city with ancient architectural style, covering millions of miles, majestic like a crouching giant beast. The city gates were heavily guarded, and all who entered had to pass through a mirror gate, undoubtedly under the Alliance's infiltration. Most areas of the Shenhuang continent knew about the invasion of outsiders. We've been traveling for half a month. I really want to go in and take a bath. The Alliance map shows this is within the Great Yan dynasty, an imperial dynasty with 3 saint-grade powerhouses. The place we're going to is called Medicine King Valley, and at our current speed, it will take at least 2 more months to arrive. I wonder if this city has a teleportation array that can take us directly there. Girls love cleanliness, especially the pampered Jianyu, who had never gone so long without a bath. Then let's go in and see, Gu Qijue said, then flew straight towards the city gate. That mirror gate might detect our identities. Jianyu was startled at the sight and immediately grabbed Gu Qijue. Don't panic, trust me. Gu Qijue clasped her slender, fair hand in return, leading her to the city gate amidst everyone's gaze. They followed the crowd towards the mirror gate. Jianyu, whose jade hand was held by Gu Qijue, was very nervous, but seeing Gu Qijue so calm, her anxious heart seemed to relax a little. Jianyu, whose jade hand was held by Gu Qijue, was very nervous, but seeing Gu Qijue so calm, her anxious heart seemed to relax a little. Just as they approached the mirror gate, Jianyu suddenly felt an incomparably dominant demonic power flow from Gu Qijue's palm into her body through her own palm. This dominant and powerful demonic power deeply shocked Jianyu. Even her old ancestors' demonic power, at the same cultivation level, couldn't compare. It was as if this power transcended all living beings without any natural enemies. As Gu Qijue's demonic power entered her body, Jianyu let out a soft hum and entered a very strange state, her body feeling warm and filled with power. There were also wisps of lightning power, as if tempering her physical body. The demonic power within her cheered, absorbing the incoming dominant and powerful demonic power. This caused a flush to appear on her bright and captivating face as she bit her jade lips and stepped through the mirror gate with Gu Qijue. Nothing unexpected happened. Whoosh! After entering the city, Jianyu let out a long breath. The short few tens of seconds felt like a very, very long time to her. After Gu Qijue released her hand, Jianyu inexplicably felt a surge of. This city was bustling with activity. From conversations among passers-by, they learned that the Alchemist Guild in the city center seemed to be hosting an alchemist competition. On Emperor Star, medicinal pills were no longer used. Instead, there were potions with even better effects, and they could be mass-produced using machinery. Boom, rumble, suddenly. At this moment, a colossal rift abruptly tore open in the sky. The Heavenly Demon Sect is executing a traitor. All irrelevant personnel quickly withdraw. A furious roar echoed across the sky, followed by a surge of monstrous devilish chi, like dark clouds, swirling out from the enormous rift and enveloping the entire heavenly music ancient city. Immediately after, a black coffin was seen slowly flying out from the massive void realm rift. Standing atop, it was a tall, graceful woman clad in a long black dress, her face veiled, surrounded by rolling devilish chi, and her eyes filled with chilling, killing intent. She arrived, stepping on the coffin. This is the heaven-burying demon venerable of the Heavenly Demon Sect. My heavens, why is she here? She's a half-saint? When they saw who the newcomer was, Countless cultivators throughout the city erupted in excitement. A saint on the Shenhuang continent is equivalent to a saint grade on Emperor Star. And a half-saint is a half-saint grade. Gu Qijue looked at the woman descending on the coffin with overwhelming might, but had no intention of watching the show. He took Jai Yinyu straight to the best inn in the city. He was at Demon Emperor Peak and originally didn't plan to cultivate, but after learning that he could enter the Shenhuang continent as long as he didn't break through to Saint grade, he simply broke through to Demon Emperor Peak. He didn't even put this half-saint in his eyes. Zhang Wuyan. Gu Chen is now a 6th-tier alchemist of my alchemist guild, how dare you? As a delicate shout rang out, a female half-saint appeared, stepping into the sky above the city, confronting the demoness. Those who block me. Die, demons are lawless, do as they please, and are not bound by any rules. The heaven-burying demon Venerable's gaze was cold, and without a word of nonsense, she directly attacked. With a bang. A sky Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, Chinese letter, demon seal soared across the sky. And a soul-stirring demonic might envelop the entire heavenly music ancient city. HMPH, you're courting death, the half-saint woman from the Alchemist Guild snorted coldly. As she formed a sword incantation, a heavenly sword struck the sky, annihilating the demon seal. And then she charged at the demoness with her sword. Boom! A battle of half-saints thus began in the sky. 78. Opportunity to enter Medicine King Valley in Tianlai ancient city above the firmament. The battle between the half-saints was locked in a stalemate. The cultivators watching from all over the city were mesmerized. In the Alchemist Plaza, an exceptionally handsome and distinguished man gazed at the two women fighting. Sighing helplessly, "Master, Guild Master, please stop fighting." This young man's name was Gu Chen. He was proficient in everything from martial arts to alchemy, artifact refining, talisman crafting, and formations. His attainments in the Tao of alchemy, artifacts, talismans, and formations in particular left many elders far behind. Disobedient disciple, come back with your master. If it's truly as you say that you were framed, your master will surely give you justice. The demonic woman forced the Alchemist Guild master back with a palm strike, stating resolutely. Gu Chen took a deep breath and said, "All right, I believe you, Master, Guild Master. Please stop, Brother Chen, no. Many people in the Heavenly Demon sect want you dead, including a saint. If you go back, you'll surely be in great danger." A beautiful girl in a purple dress next to him nervously tugged at his sleeve and said, "If it really comes to it, Brother Chen, you can come back to Medicine King Valley with me. Let's see if the Heavenly Demon sect dares to act presumptuously." Medicine King Valley? Gu Qijue was on the rooftop of a restaurant, pouring and drinking wine by himself. Watching the show, hearing the girl mention Medicine King Valley, he immediately became interested. Medicine King Valley was a transcendent power, with an inseparable relationship with the Alchemist Guild. 80% of the spirit medicine on the Tianheng domain market came from Medicine King Valley. If he could take over Medicine King Valley, the benefits for Gu Qijue would be immense. The only difficulty was that reaching Medicine King Valley required passing through the Great Yan dynasty. So the first step was to eliminate the Great Yan dynasty. But how could an outside saint enter and evade the Shenhuang Heavenly Tao? Gu Qijue pondered. No wonder the alliance was helpless. The Shenhuang Heavenly Tao did not allow anyone above the saint grade to enter. However, what he didn't know was this. The 3 peak Emperor grade old ancestors of the alliance were already communicating with the Emperor Star Will, preparing to use the Emperor Star Will to suppress the Heavenly Tao will of the Tianheng domain. Facing such fertile land, it was too important for the Emperor Star, which was facing resource depletion. If the Emperor Star Will was truly willing to suppress the Heavenly Tao will of the Shenhuang continent's Tianheng domain, then it would be the time for a large-scale invasion by the Emperor Star. Yuner, don't be afraid, I have means to protect myself. Gu Chen patted the girl's fragrant shoulder and looked up, saying, "Guild Master, please stop. My master raised me, so no matter what, I must return with her to clear my name." With that, he soared into the air and flew towards his master. The heaven-burial demonic venerable said lightly, "It's good that you know, the sect master has come out of seclusion. As long as you haven't betrayed the sect, no one can frame you. Guild Master Zhang, I will be back, don't worry." Gu Chen looked at the guild master, who had taken great care of him during this time, with a slight frown and bowed to her. "Forget it. Take care of yourself." The guild master shook her head and turned to return to the city. The heaven-burial demonic woman also took Gu Chen and crossed the void realm to leave. "Aunt, how could you let Gu Chen leave with that demonic woman?" When the guild master returned, the purple-robed girl said with a hint of resentment, "That was his own choice." The guild master shook her head, then announced loudly. The Tianlai Ancient City Alchemist Guild, the third round of this chief alchemist trial, continues. The one who becomes chief will represent Tianlai Ancient City in the Grand Tao of Alchemy competition in the Tianheng Domain 6 months from now. Every 100 years. The Tianheng Domain holds grand competitions for martial Tao, Tao of Alchemy, Tao of Artifacts, Tao of Talismans, and Tao of Formations. Those who win the championship in the 4 Taos will be listed as the most dazzling prodigies of this generation. Contestants must not exceed 100 years of age, especially the martial Tao, which all parties value most. Gu Qijue took a light sip of wine and murmured to himself, I can use that woman and girl to first enter Medicine King Valley to investigate the situation. I have brought a lot of blood crystals. I wonder if I can directly advance to Demonic Saint in the Shenhuang continent? He was already an anomaly. And with 6 peak Saint grade, 2 half-emperor and 1 peak emperor grade dragon pearls, others needed to cultivate, but he only needed vast, pure energy to evolve without bottlenecks. After 3 rounds of wine, Jia Yinyu, having bathed, gracefully walked up. She had changed into a silver, waist-cinching dress. The hem of the skirt was very short, just covering half of her thighs, showcasing her slender waist, ample hips, and delicate peaks to the fullest. Her skin, as white as jade, was still slightly flushed from just having bathed. This made her appear to have both the purity of a young girl and the sexiness of a mature woman. Did the battle end so quickly? Jia Yinyu walked gracefully and sat opposite Gu Qijue, looking up at the sky. It was just a farce of a master looking for her disciple, but in this farce, I found an excellent opportunity to enter Medicine King Valley. Gu Qijue savored a sip of wine and briefly recounted the events to Jia Yinyu. Jia Yinyu picked up her chopsticks, took a green vegetable, and put it in her mouth. After listening to Gu Qijue, her eyes lit up and she nodded, this is indeed a good opportunity. Gu Qijue said, for now, we can at most investigate Medicine King Valley. If we want to occupy it, we must suppress the heavenly Tao will hear and allow saints and emperors to enter. At that time, your Tianyue group must strive to secure Medicine King Valley. Gu Qijue was certain that the alliance was currently thinking of various ways to suppress the Tianheng Domain's heavenly Tao will. If it could be suppressed, it would be time for the major groups to divide up the strongholds of the Tianheng Domain's major powers. A desirable prize like Medicine King Valley would surely be eyed by many groups. CEO Xing, rest assured, Medicine King Valley is ours to claim, and no one can take it from us. When I set out for here, I heard from old ancestor that the 3 ancestors of the Alliance are already communicating with the Emperor Star Will, preparing to ask it to suppress the Tianheng Domain's heavenly Tao will. If successful, that will be the time for war. Jia Lingyu took a sip of the spirit wine in her cup and smiled charmingly at Gu Qijue. The Tianheng Domain is just a corner of the many regions in the Shenhuang continent. This is truly a resource-rich world. It would be even better if we could immigrate here. Gu Qijue nodded slightly. I need to go into seclusion for a while to strive to enter the demonic saint realm. This way, I'll have more self-preservation power when entering Medicine King Valley. Demonic saint? Hearing this, Jia Yinyu's sexy little mouth slightly opened in surprise. This is a huge hurdle. I've been at the peak of Demonic Emperor 9th grade for over 200 years, and I still haven't touched the Saint grade barrier. Once I break through, I'll help you enter Demonic Saint without any side effects. Gu Qijue smiled faintly. Do you trust me? Hearing him speak with such confidence, Jia Yinyu subconsciously nodded and said jokingly, CEO Xing, if you can help me advance to Demonic Saint without side effects, I might be so excited that I'll offer myself to you. Gu Qijue smiled without speaking, saying, during my seclusion, you can try to contact the Alchemist Guild master of this city, or you can start with that girl. With that, Gu Qijue condensed a demonic power crystal core with his own demonic power and threw it to Jia Yinyu. Swallow this into your demonic sea. The heavenly Tao will hear, and all detection-type things should not be able to expose your identity. Jia Yinyu took the purple-black demonic power crystal core, her beautiful eyes scanning Gu Qijue up and down, finding this man increasingly mysterious and unfathomable. He was shrouded in mist. She took out a spatial wristband and handed it to Gu Qijue, saying, it has your change of clothes inside. You probably didn't prepare any. Did you? It seems to be double monthly tickets now. Please give some monthly tickets. 79. Ascend to sainthood. The will of the black dragon Gu Qijue took the spatial ring Jia Yinyu gave him, and after eating his fill, he returned to bathe and cultivate. The entire Tianju Tower was reserved by Gu Qijue. The currency used for transactions in the Shenhuang continent is Spirit Stone, and Emperor Star has the most Spirit Stone veins. At that time, the Continental Alliance also announced its transaction currency, so Gu Qijue brought tens of billions of high-grade Spirit Stones. Reserving such a restaurant only cost 1 million mid-grade Spirit Stones a day. For the beings on Emperor Star, Spirit Stones are a source of energy to drive technological products. They are not suitable for cultivation. A few days later, the news of two immortal companions arriving at Tianzhu restaurant quickly spread throughout Tianlai ancient city. How could someone who could reserve Tianzhu restaurant be an ordinary person? A week later, which was today, the city lord of the city lord's mansion came to visit. Seeing that Jia Yinyu, at such a young age, was already a peak Void God Emperor, the city lord, who was only at Void God Emperor rank 6, couldn't help but be respectful. Jia Yinyu was resourceful and extracted a lot of useful information from the city lord. For example, the Great Yan dynasty had already allied with many forces of the same rank and was looking for the invader's lair. She also found out about the sect where Xuanyun Chuoba resided. Jia Yinyu didn't expect that Xuanyun Chuoba's reputation in the Tianheng domain was so great. He was actually the champion of the previous Tianheng domain martial arts tournament. The sect where Xuanyun Chuoba resided was named Qinshan Divine Sect, with an emperor rank old ancestor presiding over it, making it one of the 3 overlord forces in the Tianheng domain. Miss Jai, you must not be a cultivator from our Tianheng domain, right? Otherwise, how could you not even know Xuanyun Chuoba? In the restaurant's grand hall, an heroic middle-aged man sitting below, hearing the beautiful and peerless Jia Yinyu mention Xuanyun Chuoba, couldn't help but smile curiously. Jia Yinyu nodded and smiled as the city lord guessed. My senior brother and I are not cultivators from the Tianheng domain. We came to the Tianheng domain this time to visit Medicine King Valley and seek a rank 9 divine medicine. So that's how it is. The Tianlai city lord took a sip of tea and said, Our guild master Zhang of Tianlai ancient city is from Medicine King Valley. Does Miss Jai need me to introduce you? Really? Then I'll trouble city lord Liu. Jia Yinyu was waiting for that very sentence. It's all small matters. When does Miss Jai plan to meet guild master Zhang? Facing such a prodigy, Gu Qijue gave Jia Yinyu ample face. Jia Yinyu smiled. There's no better day than today. How about now? Gu Qijue laughed heartily. No problem. Shall we go then, please? Jia Yinyu rose from her seat and walked down, slightly raising her hand to gesture. Subsequently, accompanied by Gu Qijue, Jia Yinyu successfully met the guild master. Miss Jai and your senior brother have traveled thousands of miles to visit Medicine King Valley to seek a rank 9 divine medicine. In the Alchemist Guild's reception hall, the guild master, sitting on her seat, was somewhat surprised to learn of her intention. As far as she knew, Medicine King Valley only had 6 rank 9 divine medicines. What could they offer in exchange? Jia Yinyu nodded and chuckled. Yes, we will certainly not let Medicine King Valley suffer a loss. The guild master looked deeply at Jia Yinyu. It seems Miss Jai and your senior brother came prepared. I can introduce you. But whether you can trade for the rank 9 divine medicine you want is hard to say. Jia Yinyu smiled confidently. Medicine King Valley will surely be unable to refuse what we can offer. Boom, boom, just as her words fell. Suddenly, an earth-shattering sound, as if the sky had collapsed, echoed from outside. Buzz. Immediately after, an extremely dazzling and oppressive purple-black light, accompanied by an overbearing, majestic, powerful, and violent terrifying pressure, swept over in a mighty torrent. This is saintly might? Everyone present, including Jia Yinyu, quickly got up and went outside, their gazes fixed in one direction. One could see, from the top floor of the Tianzhu restaurant, a terrifying purple-black energy light pillar erupted, flickering with Saint Dao runes, raging with black lightning, and burning with dreadful black flames, soaring into the sky, reaching beyond the domain, piercing through heaven and earth. At this moment, the sky itself turned purple-black. Heavenly Dao runes, like countless stars, adorned the entire firmament, weaving a magnificent purple-black starry sky. At the same time, an incomparably overbearing, majestic, and unyielding saint's will, as if from a heavenly god emperor, enveloped the entire Tianlai ancient city. Under the shroud of this will, countless cultivators throughout the city trembled in their hearts. At this moment, their lives no longer felt like their own, as if they could be wiped out by this will at any time. This was the might of a saint, where their will passed. It could obliterate all beings below the saint rank, unless protected by powerful treasures. Roar. As countless cultivators, including Jia Yinyu and others, were filled with dread, suddenly in the sky a black dragon appeared. so vast it blotted out the sun and covered the entire firmament of Tianlai ancient city. Its body, covered in cold, dark dragon scales, was so enormous that even divine sense could not fully perceive it. As the black dragon's body, which overshadowed the entire sky, coiled, a dragon head, as massive as the city itself, both ferocious and divine, slowly broke through the purple-black clouds and appeared before the eyes of countless cultivators. Its deep blue dragon eyes, of unknown size, were so majestic that no one dared to look directly, gazing down from above at the beings in the city. Oh my God, is this the legendary dragon? Such a shocking scene terrified the cultivators throughout the city, making their legs tremble as they prostrated on the ground, their bodies seemingly no longer their own. In the Shenhuang continent, true dragons had never appeared, only flood dragons. To see one with their own eyes now was no less astonishing than a mortal seeing a deity. This kind of shock penetrated their soul. In their legends, dragons represented invincibility. If one were to ask who was the most shocked right now, it would be Jai Yinyu. Her restless, beautiful eyes were fixed on Tianju restaurant. Countless conjectures arose in her mind. Miss Jai. Is it your senior brother who is advancing to saint? Gu Qijue's throat was dry, and his voice trembled as he looked at Jai Yinyu beside him. Tianju restaurant had been reserved by them, and besides her senior brother, Gu Qijue couldn't think of anyone else who would be breaking through there. Jai Yinyu exhaled softly, a smile on her lips. Yes, senior brother said he was going into seclusion for a while. I didn't expect him to break through so quickly. Congratulations. Upon receiving her personal confirmation, Gu Qijue congratulated her with flattery. Below a saint. All are ants because they have cultivated will, and will also has strengths and weaknesses. The one currently breaking through actually cultivated the legendary dragon's will. Simply invincible. Congratulations, I truly didn't expect Miss Jai's senior brother to be so extraordinary. Possessing the potential of a great emperor, the guild master also marveled, eager to meet such an existence. 80. Dragon evolution method above the firmament. The world-shaking anomaly lasted for a full 15 minutes before dissipating. Although the anomaly dispersed, Tianlai ancient city erupted into a frenzy. Countless cultivators in the entire city were witnessing a saint's breakthrough for the first time. What they saw today would give them bragging rights for a lifetime. In the pavilion on the rooftop of Tianju restaurant, Jai Yinyu, Gu Qijue, and the guild master with her niece were all waiting to witness the grandeur of the being who had just ascended to sainthood. If they could befriend a saint through this, it would give them immense face when spoken of later, and might even save their lives. Saints are among the peak beings on the Shenhuang continent. Jai Yinyu was somewhat silent, lost in thought. Seeing the anomaly caused by Gu Qijue's breakthrough this time, she harbored an immense conjecture in her heart, but she wasn't entirely sure. They waited for nearly 2 hours. Suddenly, a soul-shaking sense of oppression faintly wafted up from downstairs. Feeling this oppression, everyone sprang to their feet. Then they saw a figure with white hair and blood-red eyes, clad in a black dragon mystic robe, with a tall and imposing physique, exuding an overbearing aura, ascending with steady, powerful steps. Upon seeing this man, the guild master's beautiful eyes instantly burst forth with an unprecedented brilliance. Having lived for thousands of years, she had never seen a man with such an aura, exuding invincibility from within. Greetings, senior. As Gu Qijue, the guild master, and her niece felt a slight tremor in their spirits, they all stepped forward and bowed. In this world where the strong prey on the weak, those stronger than oneself must be addressed as senior. Age is never used to measure seniority. Senior brother, this is the guild master, president of the medicinal pill guild of Tianlai ancient city. And this is city lord Gu Qijue. Jai Yinyu gave Gu Qijue a deep look, then stepped forward and smiled as she introduced them. Then, she secretly transmitted the full story to Gu Qijue. My junior sister and I have traveled a long way. Thank you, President Zhang, for the introduction to Medicine King Valley. Please be seated. Gu Qijue smiled faintly, raising his hand as a gesture. It's merely a small effort. With senior strength, even if you were to visit, Medicine King Valley would sweep their floors to welcome you. With this introduction, I can bask in senior's glory, the guild master said. Somewhat flattered, she had never seen such a young saint before. Moreover, he was an invincible existence within the same realm. His temperament, appearance, and strength were all perfectly flawless. Such a man was rare in the world. Next, after the attendant served the dishes and 3 rounds of drinks, Jai Yinyu chuckled softly. I heard that Medicine King Valley occupies 80% of the spirit medicine fields in the Tianheng domain. This strength is truly remarkable. Before the guild master could speak, the girl in the purple dress proudly said, "Beautiful sister. Let me put it this way. Throughout the Tianheng domain, if my medicine King Valley doesn't have a certain spirit medicine, you absolutely won't find a single stock of it elsewhere. That's truly impressive. My senior brother and I have been out for a while, if President Zhang is free. Could you take us to Medicine King Valley tomorrow?" Jai Yinyu raised her cup and smiled at the latter. The guild master raised her cup in return. "I don't have much to do recently, so let's depart tomorrow." After finishing their meal with casual conversation, it was already nightfall when they left. A slightly tipsy Jai Yinyu, her charming face flushed, let out a soft breath and looked at Gu Qijue, saying, "The sect where Xuanyuan Chuoba is located, I've learned from Gu Qijue, is actually the Qin Tian Divine Sect, one of the 3 overlord forces in the Tianheng domain. Its legacy is unknown how ancient. No wonder the Alliance sent them to infiltrate it." Gu Qijue took a sip of wine and said, "There are too many monks and too little gruel. The Tianheng domain is too small. We'll first contend for Medicine King Valley. After my infinite group develops, when we attack other domains later, we'll then contend with an overlord force." That's what I thought too." Jai Yinyu nodded, her gaze fixed on Gu Qijue, saying, "CEO Xing, the anomaly during your breakthrough was quite significant. Especially that black dragon, your true form, could it be? What if my true form is a black dragon?" Gu Qijue looked at her with a half-smile. "Do you want to see it?" "Yes." Jai Yinyu wasn't afraid of Gu Qijue's expression at all. "As you wish." With that, Gu Qijue's upper garment burst apart, and from his back, a black dragon spitting lightning and a blood dragon spitting blood flames emerged from his body. The black dragon soared through the air, moving so fast it was like a black shadow, coiling around Jai Yinyu's slender waist, suppressing all her power and bringing her before Gu Qijue. "Wow!" Jai Yinyu wasn't afraid at all. Her unrestrained jade hand gently stroked the ferocious dragon head. "You know my secret. Aren't you afraid I'll kill you?" Gu Qijue watched her playfully fondling his dragon head, somewhat surprised. "I never thought of telling anyone, so why should I be afraid? And even if I did, what good would it do me? Besides, you promised to help me ascend to sainthood too. You can't go back on your word." Jai Yinyu appeared very calm and sincere. "Actually, I've long suspected that you might be that existence on Sin Star, but I just had no evidence. If I had any hostility towards you, even a hint of suspicion, I would have informed Old Ancestor." She was able to inherit the Tian Yue group from so many competitors within her clan, who would dare underestimate her intellect, and schemes would surely suffer a loss. From Gu Qijue's inquiries about Cute Treasure and Ape Emperor, from his questions about the deceased Black Dragon on Sin Star, and the domineering, invincible aura he exuded, Jai Yinyu had grown deeply suspicious. What deepened her suspicion was the demonic power she had injected into her body when they entered the city. It carried a faint dragon's might, though almost imperceptible. She still felt it. At that moment she was somewhat hesitant. Gu Qijue put her down and said indifferently, "Collaborating with me won't be a loss for your Tian Yue group. I know, this matter, known only to you and me, will absolutely not be known by a third person, as long as you don't expose your identity." Jai Yinyu stroked the black dragon on Gu Qijue's back, completely disregarding the blood dragon. She asked curiously, "Why did that one turn into a blood dragon? Do you see the 9 dragon pearls on my chest? 5 of them have not yet been refined. Once they all become black dragon pearls, I will have refined all the legacy power of the 9 ancestors of the blood dragon." Gu Qijue gestured for her to look at his chest. Jai Yinyu, whose attention had been solely on Gu Qijue's black dragon, then noticed the 4 faintly visible black dragon pearls and 5 blood dragon pearls on his chest. She was immediately shocked. "You also obtained the legacy of the 9 ancestors of the blood dragon? Is there a snake-to-flood dragon evolution method among them?" Jai Yinyu looked at Gu Qijue with burning excitement, so thrilled that she stepped forward and reached for his chest. The Blood Dragon clan has an evolution method that can transform their Tianyu Python clan, allowing them to evolve into Tianyu Flood Dragons. This is an advancement at the bloodline level. Unfortunately, it is held by the Blood Dragon clan. The Tianyu Old Ancestor had tried to trade for it back then, but was mercilessly rejected. 81. Emperor Stars will takes action. The Flood Dragon evolution method is truly too important for their Tianyu Python clan. Now that she heard Gu Qijue had obtained the legacy of the 9 ancestors of the Blood Dragon, how could Jai Yinyu not be tempted? Gu Qijue looked at the fervent expression on Jai Yinyu's face and said calmly, "The legacy does indeed contain the Flood Dragon evolution method, But do you know the conditions required to cultivate it? What is it? Does my Tianyu Python clan not meet the requirements? Hearing Gu Qijue say this, Jia Yinyu replied nervously. Gu Qijue shook his head and said, "It's not that you don't meet the requirements, but that you need to dual cultivate with a true Dragon Clan member. Furthermore, during the dual cultivation process, the bloodline of the Dragon Clan member will be extracted by you. Do you know why the Blood Dragon Clan didn't give you this evolution method back then?" Huh? When Jia Yinyu heard this, the fervor in her heart immediately cooled down significantly. She sighed, "So that's it. No wonder no matter how great a price our old ancestor paid back then, they were unwilling to budge, that's the reason. If this evolution method were given out, the two sides would likely become enemies." Alas, Jia Yinyu sighed, feeling somewhat resigned. Now that the Blood Dragon Clan is destroyed, you won't find any other Dragon Clan members in the entire universe. Just give up on this idea. If I encounter other Dragon Clan members in the future, perhaps I'll give you this evolution method. Currently, only Gu Qijue is a black dragon, and he is a black dragon among anomalies, definitely not as simple as just being a dragon creature. If he gave this evolution method to them, wouldn't their entire clan drain him dry? In fact, Gu Qijue concealed something. If that evolution method were slightly modified by the infinite engine, the drawback of the Dragon Clan being drained could be removed, turning it into a dual cultivation evolution method beneficial to both parties. But as far as Gu Qijue knew, the Tianyu Python clan was entirely female. Their method of reproduction was not through mating, but through a very special technique related to the moon. If he gave out the modified evolution method, wouldn't all the women of the Tianyu clan want to dual cultivate with him? Who could handle that? Dragons are naturally lustful. Gu Qijue had suppressed that nature long ago. If he didn't suppress it, he wouldn't know how decadent he would become. You simply cannot imagine the extent of a dragon's lust and brutal nature. Such is the brutality of dragons that dragons of the same clan are also on their menu. The Dragon Clan's method for increasing power relies on devouring, eating other powerful Yao beasts or their own kind to achieve the goal of strengthening their power. Cannibalism is also something that frequently occurs among the Dragon Clan. Weaker dragons are all eaten by stronger dragons. The internal situation of the Blood Dragon Clan back then was much the same. And the Black Dragon is even more extreme: evil, brutal, dark, invincible, devouring its own kind to become the sole emperor, but also facing extinction faster. It's just that Gu Qijue is very special, an anomaly among anomalies, capable of suppressing this nature. If he completely unleashed himself, he would be no different from a tyrant. What a pity I got excited for nothing. Jia Yinyu was a little depressed and said, "I won't tell anyone about this. It brings me no benefit, so I might as well hold tightly onto your thigh." She was very clear-headed, knowing how immense Gu Qijue's potential was in the future. He is someone who has the potential to break through the Emperor realm and become a god. Moreover, Jia Yinyu's favorable impression of Gu Qijue had already surpassed a cooperative or friendly relationship. Buzz, rumble, suddenly. Boundless golden light swept across the sky with immense momentum. It illuminated the dark night as brightly as day. At the same time, an extremely powerful will, resembling that of an emperor, transformed into a golden sun, hanging high above the sky of the Tianheng domain. At this moment, no matter where they were in the Tianheng domain, they could see that brilliant, supremely majestic golden sun, a golden sun that did not belong to this world. What's going on? Jia Yinyu was slightly startled, but after sensing the familiar presence of the Emperor Star, she immediately showed joy, saying, "It succeeded. The three old ancestors of the Alliance actually managed to summon the Emperor Star will." Boom, boom, boom. At the same time, the old ancestors of the three dominant powers in the Tianheng domain recovered from their seclusion. One after another, outsiders. What a grand gesture. Damn it, the heavenly Tao of the Tianheng domain was actually blocked. Prepare for war. The first thing these old ancestors did upon exiting seclusion was to summon all the powerful experts and hold a meeting to deal with the invaders. This sudden turn of events also caused countless sentient beings in the Tianheng domain to feel fear and unease. That fast, a strange light flashed in Gu Qijue's eyes as he looked at the golden sun hanging across the sky. CEO Zing. "Should we go back or go to the Medicine King Valley first?" Jia Yinyu asked hesitantly. Although I already roughly learned from the guild master that the Medicine King Valley also has a great emperor presiding over it, we still need to make a trip to pinpoint its coordinates. Gu Qijue's eyes flickered, and he said, "Although the Alliance knows that the Medicine Valley has vast spirit medicine resources, they don't have the complete coordinates. We should get the accurate coordinates first before going back, so we can directly use wormhole transmission to descend there later. Saying this, he retracted the twin dragons behind his back, took out a new set of clothes to put on, and left, traversing the void realm with Gu Qijue. After advancing to the demon saint level, Gu Qijue's travel speed was simply outrageous. Not long after they left, the guild master came looking for them, but the place was already empty. In just 3 hours, they arrived outside a massive sinkhole canyon shrouded in clouds and mist, stretching for countless miles. Inside this sinkhole canyon, a space was formed on its own, covered by a terrifying killing array capable of slaying saints and resisting great emperors. When we came, we truly underestimated the Medicine King Valley, Gu Qijue exclaimed slightly as she looked at the terrifying killing array in its semi-revived state. How could a power with a great emperor presiding over it be weak? Gu Qijue accurately pinpointed the coordinates, then said, "Let's go." After speaking, he used the Infinite Engine's wormhole transmission function, located the Alliance base, opened the teleportation gate, and led Gu Qijue inside. After the heavenly Tao of the Tianheng domain was blocked, wormhole transmission could be opened anywhere without being detected. Even if Emperor-level experts fought, they wouldn't alarm the heavenly Tao here. With super wormhole transmission, everything became very convenient. 2 hours later, the wormhole transmission portal appeared in the vast plaza of the base. Gu Qijue and Gu Qijue walked out side by side. Haha, the heavenly Tao of the Tianheng domain has finally been blocked. Prepare for war and plunder, haha. I heard that the old ancestors behind the major corporations are discussing how to carve up the major native forces of the Tianheng domain. The moment of plunder has arrived. The plaza was bustling, gathering countless Emperor Star beings. Looking around, heads were densely packed everywhere. Let's go, we're heading to the Supreme Conference Hall. MHM, the old ancestors should currently be competing for the Medicine King Valley. Walking out and listening to the discussions around them, Gu Qijue took Gu Qijue straight toward the base's Supreme Conference Hall. It's double monthly votes now. Please vote. 82. Compete as the heavenly Tao will of the Tianheng domain on the Shenhuang continent was shielded. The major forces in this domain felt as if a great enemy was upon them. However, the various ethnic groups and corporations on Emperor Star were all eagerly preparing for a fight. The top-ranked corporations on Emperor Star were currently gathered in the highest conference hall of the Alliance base. At the same time, it was also being publicly live-streamed. The people gathered in the square outside were all watching in real time through the live broadcast. Inside the luxurious hall, the leaders of the major corporations were seated. At the long table on the stage sat 3 energetic old men with piercing gazes. In the first row below the stage sat the 24 most powerful corporate leaders and old ancestors of Emperor Star. Tianyue Group and Star C Group were among them. In the second row sat the second-tier corporations on Emperor Star, totaling 60 corporations. Infinite Group's position was in the second row, with Nangong Wanner appearing and sitting in the vice president's seat. The higher the ranking, the stronger the power and financial resources. On the large screen in the conference hall, all the forces, big and small, in the Tianheng domain were categorized. 3 hegemonic forces, 15 top-tier forces, and 58 second-rate forces. There were even more third-rate forces. The Tianyun sect of Nanling, my Cologne group, is taking it, if anyone disagrees. Let's compare our financial and actual strength. What is your Cologne group? How dare you compete with my Yunrui group? Shouldn't I be the one to say that? If you disagree, let's talk with data. Alliance Executive. Bring up the data. The scene was fiercely competitive. Every time the Continental Alliance pointed out a force, corporations would argue until their faces turned red. Starting from the smallest forces, they had now reached 38 second-rate forces. If the competing parties did not back down, the alliance would allocate based on their corporation's financial resources and strength. On the stage, an executive came forward, displayed the information of the 2 major corporations vying for the Tianyun sect, and said, Cologne Group is superior to Yunrui Group in both financial resources and overall strength. This sect will be allocated to Cologne Group. The next force competition begins now, the 39th second-rate force. Donglai family, as the executive finished speaking, the major corporations began a new round of competition. Those who had previously succeeded in competition could no longer participate. The second-rate forces in the Tianheng domain also had strengths and weaknesses. The earlier second-rate forces definitely had richer foundations than the later ones. Therefore, the initial competition was extremely fierce. For now, the true big-shot corporations had not yet made their moves. Before even starting, They were already scrambling for the forces in the Tianheng domain as if they were prized possessions. While the corporations were arguing fiercely and demanding data, Gu Qijue and Jia Yinyu hurried in from outside the main entrance. They were able to enter naturally because one was the president of Infinite Group and the other was the president of Tian Yue Group. If it were anyone else, they would definitely have been stopped outside. After entering, Gu Qijue and Jia Yinyu separated and went to their respective corporate positions. Boss, Nangong Wanner, who had been frowning and worrying intermittently, almost didn't recognize Gu Qijue in his current state. Gu Qijue nodded at her, took his seat in the president's chair, and asked, "Which stage are we at now?" Nangong Wanner secretly thought, "What a charismatic man," before saying, "Currently, the third-rate corporations are competing for the second-rate forces in the Tianheng domain. I wonder what the boss's target is." Gu Qijue leaned back in his chair, his gaze falling on the large screen on the stage, and calmly said, "Naturally, it's a top-tier force, the Great Yan Dynasty. We must secure it no matter what. The Great Yan Dynasty is adjacent to Medicine King Valley, so it naturally needs to be taken down first." What was happening here was like a group of bigwigs bidding on land, extremely intense. With our group's overall strength, it might be difficult to secure the Great Yan Dynasty. This prized possession, Nangong Wanner said with some hesitation. She wasn't speaking without reason. Rather, there were 60 top-tier corporations present, and each top-tier corporation basically had 2 to 3 Saint-grade powerhouses overseeing it. Currently, the Infinite Group only had one publicly registered. How could they compete with that? "How do you know we can't compete?" Gu Qijue said calmly, summoning the Infinite Engine panel to check his current infinite points. Seeing that he had over 8.3 million trillion, Gu Qijue had no more worries. Currently, the Infinite Group was not only well-known on Emperor Star, but also quite famous on many life planets in the universe where Emperor Star was located. 100 billion infinite points could create a demon saint third-grade puppet that could exist for 3 days. Gu Qijue looked and saw that 200 billion infinite points could actually create a demon saint 8th-grade puppet that could exist for 3 months. Immediately, without another word, he began manufacturing. Half an hour later, manufacturing completed. Gu Qijue used a wormhole to place 3 demon saint 8th-grade puppets outside the Alliance base here, then took out his light brain to register their identities: Xing Mao, Star Source, and Star Desolation. After registering their identities, he then registered them with the Infinite Group. During registration, an Alliance scanning device would descend next to them via a wormhole to conduct a strength level test. Only after the test would they appear on the group's list of powerhouses. Nangong Wanner, who was beside him, watched her boss continuously operating his light brain, as if contacting someone, and knew that her boss definitely had a backup plan, which put her at ease. Recently, although Infinite Group had earned several million trillion star coins, it still had too few high-end powerhouses. A moment later, Nangong Wanner saw Gu Qijue finish operating and put away his light brain, so she took out her own light brain to check. When she saw 3 new Demon Saint 8th-grade existences on the group's powerhouse list, she was completely stunned. Even more surprising to her was that her boss had also broken through to Demon Saint. By this calculation, their Infinite Group now had 5 Demon Saints. Nangong Wanner's charming face showed immense excitement. This meant she had followed the right person. The future potential of Infinite Group was boundless, and it was destined to become a hegemonic corporation. After half an hour of frantic grabbing, the 58 second-rate forces in the Tianheng domain were finally divided up. The Alliance executive on stage saw this and stepped forward, saying, "All right. Now the 58 second-rate forces in the Tianheng domain all have owners. Next, it will be the 15 top-tier forces in the Tianheng domain. The first top-tier force is Jiuzhen Island. Corporations wishing to participate, please raise your hands to register. Each 4 corporations will divide 60 top-tier corporations dividing 15 top-tier forces in the Tianheng domain, it must be said. The numbers were just right. This Jiuzhen Island, Mutation Group, along with the Military Martial Legion, Cunnian Group, and Liuguang Group want it. If anyone disagrees, come out and compare data." The half-emperor old ancestor of Tianyan Group slowly rose, speaking with extremely domineering authority. Tianyan Group was a leader among the top-tier corporations on Emperor Star. With its old ancestor speaking, practically no one bothered to compete for it, knowing they would just be asking for trouble. Therefore, Tianyan Group easily secured Jiuzhen Island. 83, strong the universe. Deep space, outside the Shenhuang continent. Boom, a colossal creature appeared here through void realm jumping. Master's aura is within this mysterious continent. I've already reached the saint grade level. Since Master isn't on that planet with the powerful will, it's time to show off to Master. Xiao Yao, the star-devouring beast, chuckled, its body rapidly shrinking until it was the size of a normal tiger before stopping. It was entirely silver gray, its fur like steel needles, its eyes burning with the light of stars, and the flame-like tuft on its head, resembling an antenna, constantly flickered. With a lion's tail, a tiger-like yet dragon-like head, and a killen-like body after shrinking, it looked somewhat adorable. Not at all like a vicious beast. Buzz, with a swipe of its paw, it actually tore open the void realm of the Shenhuang continent, then plunged into it and disappeared. Meanwhile, in the Alliance base's highest conference hall, currently, 6 of the 15 top forces in the Tianheng domain had already been taken. The 7th top force was also being fiercely contested. On the side of the Divine Group, one of the 24 Overlord groups on Emperor Star, Gu Qijue saw 2 familiar faces. Huolina Na and Oroska sat behind an elder, whispering to each other. They were both at Martial Heaven grade 5 or 6 now. Among the younger generation under 50, they were considered prodigies among prodigies. Don't compare them to Gu Qijue, he was an anomaly. Mom, old ancestor, Emperor Star has 24 Overlord groups plus the Continental Alliance. But the Tianheng domain only has 3 Overlord forces. How should we divide them? On the Tianyue group's side, Jia Yinyu sat beside a beautiful woman in palace attire, speaking in a low voice. Of course, we'll partner up to divide an Overlord force. We'll withdraw from the competition for the Medicine King Valley and let them divide it among themselves. The beautiful woman in the blue palace dress next to Jia Yinyu said softly, "It's best if the Infinite Group can win the Great Yan Dynasty. That way we can attack the Great Yan Dynasty first, then take the Medicine King Valley." Is that so? Then that works out perfectly. Jia Yinyu nodded and said, CEO Xing must think the same, but with the Infinite Group's strength data, it might be a bit difficult. That's their own business then. Jai Tianyu, the old ancestor of the Tianyue group, said indifferently. She looked younger than Jia Yinyu's mother, appearing only slightly older than Jia Yinyu and somewhat proud. Before long, the 3 black-robed puppets Gu Qijue had just created arrived and sat behind him. Nangong Wanner observed them, secretly startled. Soon after, the voice of the Alliance steward on the stage sounded. Next up is the Great Yan Dynasty of the Tianheng domain. Groups wishing to compete, please stand up. This Great Yan Dynasty. My Infinite Group will take it all. Just as the groups were about to rise and register for the competition, a very arrogant voice suddenly rang out. Hearing this, the various top groups that had not yet competed all looked over with ill intent, following the sound. HMPH, Infinite Group. What big talk? You're seated in the second row out of consideration for your group's elixirs. Do you really think you're qualified to sit here with us? Who is it? Oh, it's a group that's been established for less than a year. Xing Ju. Who gave you the courage to spout such nonsense here? CEO Xing, your words aren't funny at all. Immediately, a series of sarcastic and unfriendly voices arose. Of the 15 top forces in the Tianheng domain, 7 had already been allocated. Excluding the Infinite Group, 21 other top groups had not received an allocation. These voices came from these groups. Haha, this Infinite Group. Aren't they too ridiculous? They even want to monopolize a top force in the Tianheng domain. Do they really think they're somebody? This boss of the Infinite Group. Has his brain gone soft? People watching through the live broadcast outside couldn't help but laugh when they saw this scene. What, are you all looking down on my Infinite Group? Facing numerous unfriendly gazes, Gu Qijue's imposing face remained calm and composed. Leaning back in his chair, he chuckled playfully. How many years have you all been developing? How many saint-grade powerhouses do you have now? Xing Mao, Star Source. Star Desolation. Let them experience your strength, lest some self-righteous petty people always treat my Infinite Group as a soft persimmon. Boom, 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 as Gu Qijue's calm voice fell. The 3 puppets sitting behind him stood up coldly, bursting forth with a saint-grade will that seemed capable of shattering the heavens. Hiss! Under the impact of these 3 terrifying saint-grade wills, everyone present below the saint-grade level felt their minds tremble, nearly suffocating to death. Even those who were also saint-grade or at the saint-grade 9 peak felt their hair stand on end. In front of these 3 wills, their saint-grade will seemed utterly vulnerable. Gu Qijue leaned back in his chair, his expression indifferent, his dominance fully revealed. He nodded slightly and said calmly, the Great Yan Dynasty. My Infinite Group will claim it. If any group is unconvinced, feel free to challenge the three behind me one-on-one or as a group. If you can defeat them, my infinite group will immediately withdraw from this competition and take no allocation. The puppets created by the Infinite Engine were by no means weak. On the contrary, they were incredibly strong. At their current 8th grade, they could even contend with a half-emperor. As for whether they could win, Gu Qijue couldn't say for sure, but he was certain that a half-emperor would absolutely not be able to defeat them. So familiar, Hugh Linana, still as beautiful and moving as ever, watched Gu Qijue's words and actions, as well as his subtle expressions, and was momentarily lost in thought. CEO Xing, this is against the rules. At this moment, the old ancestor on the right among the three Alliance old ancestors on the stage spoke in a calm voice. This was a red-haired elder, burly and tall, exuding an astonishing oppressive aura from within. Especially his fiery red eyes, which gave an invisible burning sensation that penetrated the soul. What's unreasonable? The three behind me can even fight a half-emperor. Among the top groups present, who can withstand 10 moves from them, I can give them a chance to cooperate, but if they can't block, they'll be severely injured at best, and at worst face the danger of death. Facing an Alliance old ancestor, Gu Qijue still did not back down, remaining dominant. Everyone, my Tianyue group will not participate in dividing the three overlord forces. We only ask to share the Great Yan Dynasty and the Medicine King Valley with the Infinite Group. This is our bottom line. Just as a Saint-grade powerhouse Furious wanted to challenge them, Jai Tianyu slowly stood up, her graceful body rising, and spoke with a transcendent tone. Jai Tianyu, are you sure? The leading Alliance elder on the stage spoke then, saying, the foundations of the three overlords are worth many Medicine King Valleys. Let's just decide it happily then. You compensate the three groups that suffered losses. Jai Tianyu gave Gu Qijue a deep look and sat back down in her chair. 84, please help me. Finally. This meeting to divide the Tianheng domain lasted more than 3 hours. From beginning to end, after the meeting ended, Gu Qijue was invited by Jai Tianyu alone to the backyard of her residence. Inside the pavilion, Gu Qijue sat opposite the elegant, noble, and beautiful Jai Tianyu, who was beyond blasphemy. She looked very young, not at all like an elder. No wonder Yinyu is so concerned about you. So, you are a Dragon Clan member, and at such a young age you are already a demon saint. Truly astonishing. Jai Tianyu picked up the teacup on the table, took a small sip from her red lips, and said something startling. Why do you say that? Gu Qijue asked calmly, without changing his expression. Now, his appearance and temperament were so steady that no flaws could be seen. My Tianyu Python clan is very sensitive to the Dragon Clan's aura. At such a close distance, Yinyu's cultivation might not be able to sense it. Jai Tianyu quietly gazed at Gu Qijue and asked, what kind of dragon are you? You are definitely not a Blood Dragon Clan member. I have dealt with their old ancestor, and they do not possess such a strong and rich Dragon Clan aura as you. Although she could roughly guess that Gu Qijue was a Dragon Clan member, she couldn't discern his true form. Black Dragon? Gu Qijue slowly uttered 2 words. Now he could instantly activate the infinite wormhole to teleport away, so he was no longer afraid of exposing his identity. Furthermore, he didn't believe that Jai